The rain came down in sheets, turning the cracked New Jersey pavement into a mirror of neon and shadow. Elizabeth Chen, Lisa to the few people who still cared, pressed herself against the cold brick wall of the abandoned warehouse district. Her heart hammering so hard she thought her ribs might crack. She shouldn't have been there. Shouldn't have taken the shortcut. Shouldn't have believed, even for a moment, that she could outrun her past by simply moving fast enough through the dark. The growl came from everywhere and nowhere at once. Lisa's breath caught. She'd heard dogs before. Her father had kept a pit bull specifically to terrorize her, but this was different. This sound came from something larger, hungrier, older than any animal she'd ever encountered. It vibrated through the wet air and settled in her bones like a warning written in a language she didn't know but somehow understood perfectly. Run. Ran. Her sneakers slapped against puddles as she bolted down the alley, her second-hand coat flying behind her. The bus station was 3 blocks away. 3 blocks might as well have been 3 miles. Behind her, the growling multiplied. 2 voices, then 3, then a whole chorus of inhuman sounds that made her stomach turn to ice. They were playing with her. She knew it the way prey always knows. Lisa rounded a corner and slammed directly into a chain-link fence. Dead end. The word echoed in her mind with horrible finality. She spun around, pressing her back against the cold metal, and finally saw them. 3 massive shapes emerged from the darkness, too large to be dogs, too wrong to be wolves. Their eyes gleamed yellow in the dim light from a distant street lamp, and their lips pulled back to reveal teeth that belonged in nightmares. Saliva dripped from their jaws, steaming in the cold air. "Please," Lisa whispered, though she knew begging wouldn't help. It never had before. The largest one lunged. Lisa screamed and threw her arms up, a useless gesture against certain death. And then the world exploded. A blur of silver and black crashed into her attacker mid-leap, sending both creatures tumbling across the alley in a savage tangle of claws and fury. The impact shook the ground. Lisa fell to her knees, unable to process what she was seeing. A 4th wolf had appeared, but this one was different. Larger, more powerful, moving with a lethal grace that made the others look clumsy by comparison. Its fur seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly quality, and when it snarled, the sound carried such absolute authority that the 3 attackers actually hesitated. The newcomer didn't. It moved like liquid violence, striking with precision that seemed almost surgical. One attacker went down with its throat torn open. The second tried to flee and made it exactly 2 steps before powerful jaws closed on its spine. The third, the largest, actually whimpered before turning tail and disappearing into the night. The entire fight lasted perhaps 30 seconds. Lisa couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't do anything but stare as the silver-black wolf turned toward her. Blood dripped from its muzzle. Its eyes, not yellow like the others, but an impossible bright gold, locked onto hers with an intensity that made her feel naked, seen, known in ways that terrified her more than the attack had. Took a step closer. Lisa's survival instincts, honed by years of abuse, finally kicked in. As the wolf lowered its massive head toward her, whether to help or to finish what the others had started, she couldn't tell. She did the only thing she could think of. She grabbed the nearest piece of debris, a broken bottle, and slashed wildly. The wolf pulled back but not fast enough. The glass caught its shoulder, drawing blood. Lisa scrambled backward, her hand shooting out to grab anything, connecting with fur and muscle. In her terror and adrenaline-fueled desperation, she did something inexplicable. She bit down. Hard. The wolf made a sound, not of pain but of something else entirely. Something that sounded almost like recognition, like surprise, like the world had just shifted on its axis in a way that couldn't be undone. Then it did something even stranger. Stepped back and shifted. Lisa's mind couldn't accept what her eyes were seeing. The massive wolf blurred, bones cracking and reshaping with sounds that made her stomach heave, and suddenly a man knelt where the beast had been. A man covered in blood. Some his, most not. With dark hair plastered to his face and those same impossible gold eyes staring at her with an expression she couldn't read. "You're safe now," he said. His voice was rough, like he hadn't spoken in years, but underneath was a gentleness that made something in Lisa's chest crack open. She wanted to speak, to thank him, to ask 1,000 questions, but the adrenaline that had kept her upright suddenly drained away. The world tilted. She saw the man reach for her, saw his lips move in what might have been her name or a curse or a prayer. Then darkness swallowed everything. Lisa woke up on a bus. For a moment, she couldn't remember how she'd gotten there. Her head pounded, her hands were scraped and bruised, and her coat smelled like wet dog and copper. Then it all came rushing back. The attack, the wolves, the man, the impossible transformation. She sat up too quickly, earning annoyed looks from nearby passengers. Through the window, she could see they were already crossing the bridge into Manhattan. Somehow she'd made it. Somehow she was alive. Lisa touched her lips, remembering the taste of blood and fur. Her hand trembled. What the hell had happened back there? Had it been real? The cuts on her palms said yes. The lingering terror in her gut said yes. But her rational mind, the part that had survived 23 years in a world that ran on logic and cruelty, insisted it must have been a hallucination. Stress, fear. Maybe someone had drugged her. Werewolves didn't exist. Men didn't turn into wolves. And strangers with gold eyes didn't save worthless girls in back alleys for no reason. Lisa pulled her old coat tighter around herself and stared at her reflection in the dark window. She looked the same, mousy brown hair, too thin face. Eyes that had learned long ago not to hope for anything. But something felt different. Changed. Like a string had been tied around her heart and was now pulling her in a direction she couldn't name. She shook her head. Survival first. Questions later. Her new life was waiting in Manhattan. A job she'd lied to get. An apartment she could barely afford. A chance to finally become someone other than the broken girl her father and ex-boyfriend had created. That was real. That mattered. The wolf man with the golden eyes and the gentle voice was just a dream. A beautiful, impossible dream she would forget by morning. At least, that's what she told herself. As the bus pulled into Port Authority, Lisa grabbed her single battered duffel bag and stepped into the chaos of New York City. She didn't look back. She never looked back. But if she had, she might have seen a sleek black car parked across the street, and a man standing beside it with dark hair and impossible eyes, watching her disappear into the crowd with an expression of longing so intense it could have set the world on fire. Bryant Green touched his shoulder where her teeth had broken skin, feeling the mark that would never fully heal. "Elizabeth," he whispered to the night. Then he got in his car and drove away, not knowing that fate had just woven their lives together in a knot that neither time nor distance nor denial could ever untangle. The mate bond had been forged, and neither of them had any idea what they'd just begun. Chapter 2. 3 months had done nothing to erase the memory. Lisa stared at her reflection in the bathroom mirror of Chen and Associates, one of Manhattan's most prestigious law firms, and tried to convince herself that the panic attack brewing in her chest was about the workload and not about the recurring dreams of gold eyes and silver fur. She'd gotten good at lying to herself. The job had been a miracle, or rather a carefully constructed fraud. She'd inflated her paralegal experience, forged a reference from a firm that had conveniently gone bankrupt, and interviewed with enough desperation masked as confidence that somehow, impossibly, they'd hired her. 3 months in, she was still waiting for someone to discover the truth and throw her back onto the streets. "Elizabeth, Mr. Green needs the Morrison files in 5 minutes. Lisa's head snapped up. Jessica Park, senior paralegal and her closest thing to a friend in this marble and mahogany fortress, stood in the doorway with an expression of sympathy. "Which Mr. Green?" Lisa asked, though she already knew. There was only one Mr. Green who mattered. The scary one. Bryant Green. Named partner despite being only 32. The man who'd built the firm's mergers and acquisitions department into something that made Fortune 500 CEOs wake up sweating. The man whose office occupied the entire northwest corner of the 43rd floor. The man who, in 3 months, had spoken directly to Lisa exactly 4 times, each interaction lasting less than 30 seconds. The man who had eyes the color of whiskey and moved with a predator's grace and made every instinct Lisa possessed scream danger and safety in the same breath. She hated how aware of him she was. Morrison Files, 5 minutes, got it. Lisa smoothed down her discount pencil skirt and headed for the file room, trying to ignore the way her pulse kicked up at the thought of entering his office. Meant nothing. He was her boss. She was terrified of all her bosses. That was normal. The fact that sometimes when he looked at her, she felt that same strange pull she'd felt in the alley in New Jersey. That was just trauma. Coincidence. Her broken brain making connections that didn't exist. Lisa gathered the files, checked them twice, and made her way to the executive floor. Bryant Greene's assistant, a sleek woman named Caroline who wore Chanel and contempt in equal measure, barely glanced up. "He's expecting you. Go in." Lisa knocked once, heard a curt "enter," and stepped into the office. Bryant Greene stood with his back to her, staring out at the Manhattan skyline like he owned it. He probably did, or at least significant pieces of it. The office was all clean lines and expensive minimalism. Black leather, chrome, a desk that cost more than Lisa's annual salary. Everything about the space screamed power, control, dominance. "Morrison Files, Mr. Greene." Lisa set them on his desk, careful not to let her hands shake. "Thank you, Elizabeth." He still hadn't turned around. Lisa should have left. Protocol dictated she leave. But something made her hesitate, and in that moment Bryant turned. Their eyes met. Lisa's breath stopped. It was him. Impossible insane, but she knew. The same way she'd known those creatures in the alley weren't dogs. The same way she'd known biting the wolf had been important even though she couldn't explain why. Something in the set of his shoulders, the angle of his jaw, the way he moved like violence wrapped in a $1,000 suit. But his eyes were brown. Not gold. Just ordinary, cold human brown. Was there something else? His voice was clipped, professional, completely devoid of the gentleness she remembered from that night. Lisa shook her head, not trusting herself to speak. She was being ridiculous. Bryant Greene was not a werewolf. Bryant Greene had probably never set foot in New Jersey in his life. Bryant Greene was just her boss, and she was projecting, and she needed to get the hell out of his office before she embarrassed herself. "No, sir. I'll just... Actually, there is something." He moved to his desk, every gesture controlled, calculated. "Close the door." Lisa's stomach dropped, but she obeyed. This was it. He'd discovered her lies. She was fired. Possibly arrested. Her brief window of safety was closing, and she'd be back on the streets by nightfall. Bryant pulled out a folder. Not Morrison, something else, and studied it for a long moment. When he finally looked up, his expression was completely unreadable. "What I'm about to discuss with you is confidential. If you repeat any of this conversation, I will ensure you never work in this city again. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "How old are you, Elizabeth?" The question caught her off guard. 23. "And you're not currently in a relationship." Warning bells screamed in Lisa's head. She'd heard this opening before, usually right before a man in power explained exactly what kind of extra duties would be required to keep her job. Her hand instinctively moved to her phone in her pocket, ready to record, ready to run. "Mr. Greene, if this is... I need a wife." Lisa blinked. "I'm sorry, what?" Bryant leaned back in his chair, and for the first time since she'd met him, he looked almost uncomfortable, almost human. "I'll be direct. My father is terminally ill. He has perhaps 6 months to live, and before he dies, He's determined to see me married. Not to anyone, to someone he's selected. Someone from our community. Someone I have absolutely no interest in binding myself to for the rest of my life. I don't understand what this has to do with. I'm proposing a business arrangement. Bryant opened the folder and slid a document across the desk. A contract marriage. 1 year. You would live in my apartment, attend necessary social functions, and play the role of my wife. In exchange, you would receive a signing bonus of $50,000, a monthly allowance of $10,000, and at the end of the year, a severance payment of $250,000. Lisa's brain stuttered. That was more money than she'd seen in her entire life. Why me? The question came out as barely a whisper. Because you're convenient. Because you're not connected to my social circle. Because my background check shows you have every reason to keep this arrangement confidential. His eyes pinned her in place. And because you need the money. He knew. Course he knew. Men like Bryant Green didn't make offers like this without knowing exactly who they were dealing with. Lisa felt exposed, vulnerable, and paradoxically safer than she'd felt in months. What exactly would you expect from me? Precisely what's outlined in the contract. Public appearances as needed. Residence in my home. Discretion. Nothing more. His voice took on an edge. I have no interest in a real marriage, Elizabeth. This would be purely transactional. Lisa should have said no. Should have recognized this as exactly the kind of too-good-to-be-true offer that led to basements and shallow graves. But she'd gotten good at reading predators over the years, and whatever Bryant Green was, he wasn't that kind of dangerous. He was something else entirely. Can I think about it? You have 24 hours. Bryant pulled out a business card. His personal number, not the office line. After that, the offer expires, and we never speak of this again. Lisa took the card, her fingers brushing his for just a moment. The contact sent a jolt up her arm. Static electricity, she told herself, just static. And Bryant's hand jerked back as though he'd felt it too. They stared at each other for a heartbeat too long. 24 hours. Lisa repeated and fled. She lasted 18. The decision came at 2 in the morning, sitting in her cockroach-infested studio apartment with her old phone hidden under the loose floorboard and the weight of her past pressing down like physical force. Lisa pulled up her bank account. $347. She had 2 months before her father or Marcus found her, maybe 3 if she was lucky. Bryant Green's offer wasn't salvation. But it was survival. And Lisa had built her entire life on surviving one more day. She texted the number. I accept. The response came immediately. My attorney will contact you in the morning with a full contract. Review it carefully. This will change everything. Lisa stared at that last line for a long time. This will change everything. She thought about gold eyes in an alley. About the pull she felt every time Bryant Green entered a room. About the way fate seemed to have a sense of humor darker than she'd ever imagined. What am I doing? She whispered to her empty apartment. But she already knew the answer. She was making a deal with a devil who wore Armani and had secrets in his eyes. She was stepping into a world she didn't understand for money she desperately needed. She was becoming Bryant Green's wife. And neither of them had any idea that they'd already belonged to each other since the night she'd sunk her teeth into a silver wolf's shoulder and marked him as hers in a way no contract could ever replicate. The mate bond hummed between them, invisible and undeniable, waiting for the moment they would both finally understand what they'd done. Chapter 3. A Marriage Without Love. The wedding took place on a Thursday afternoon in a judge's chambers that smelled like old leather and older money. Lisa wore a cream dress she'd bought on sale from Nordstrom Rack. Bryant wore a charcoal suit that probably cost more than her entire wardrobe. There were no flowers, no music, no guests except for the 2 witnesses Bryant's attorney had provided, Strangers who signed their names and left without making eye contact. It was the most impersonal transaction Lisa had ever been part of, and she'd once sold her childhood jewelry to a pawnshop owner who'd counted out bills without once looking at her face. "Do you, Bryant Alexander Green, take this woman to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do." His voice was flat, businesslike. He didn't look at her. "And do you, Elizabeth Marie Chen, take this man to be your lawfully wedded husband?" Lisa's throat was dry. The ring Bryant slid onto her finger, a simple platinum band that fit perfectly, because of course he'd somehow known her size, felt like a shackle and a lifeline at the same time. "I do. Then by the power vested in me by the state of New York, I now pronounce you husband and wife." The judge didn't say, "You may kiss the bride." Bryant had specified in the contract that physical affection would be limited to what was absolutely necessary for public appearances. They shook hands instead, formal as business partners, while the attorney took a single photograph for the marriage license. 20 minutes after it began, Lisa was Mrs. Bryant Green. She felt absolutely nothing. That should have been a relief. Bryant's apartment turned out to be a penthouse in Tribeca with floor-to-ceiling windows and a view that made Lisa's knees weak. It was the kind of space featured in architecture magazines, all open concept and designer furniture and art that probably cost more than most people's houses. "Your room is down this hall." Bryant gestured with the same impersonal efficiency he used when delegating tasks at the office. "Master suite is at the other end. We have a housekeeper who comes 3 times a week. Mrs. Chen will stock the kitchen with whatever you prefer. My schedule is synced to the tablet on the counter. You'll need to coordinate for the events we're required to attend together." He was already walking away, already pulling out his phone, already treating her like an employee receiving a briefing. Bryant. His name felt strange on her tongue. She'd never used it before. He stopped, turned, waited. "Why are you really doing this?" Lisa asked. "The truth. Not the story about your father." Something flickered across his face. Surprise maybe that she'd pushed back. For a moment, she thought he might actually answer honestly. "Does it matter?" he said instead. "You signed the contract. This is the arrangement." "It matters to me." Bryant studied her with those impossible brown eyes. Not gold, never gold, she must have imagined the gold, and she felt that pull again. That sense of recognition that made no sense, that she'd been trying to ignore for 3 months and was now going to have to live with for an entire year. "There are expectations in my world," he said finally. "Obligations I can't escape. This marriage allows me to fulfill them on my own terms rather than someone else's." He paused. "And you needed an escape too. Don't pretend you didn't." It was the most honest he'd been with her since the proposal. "Okay," Lisa said quietly. "Okay." Bryant nodded once, sharp and final. "I have calls to make. We'll discuss the charity gala on Friday at dinner." He disappeared into his office, and Lisa was left standing in a penthouse that cost more per month than she'd earned in a year, wearing a wedding ring she hadn't chosen, bound to a man she didn't know. She should have felt trapped. Instead, for the first time since New Jersey, she felt almost safe. The office exploded with gossip by Monday morning. Lisa heard it the moment she stepped off the elevator. Voices dropping to whispers, eyes following her down the hallway, speculation crackling through the air like electricity before a storm. "I heard it was a secret Vegas thing. Obviously a green card situation. She must have something on him. Gold digger, clearly." Jessica intercepted her before she reached her desk, eyes wide with a mixture of shock and something that might have been betrayal. "You married Bryant Green." It wasn't a question. "You married Bryant Green and didn't tell anyone." "It happened fast," Lisa said, which was true enough. "We kept it private." "Private?" Jessica laughed, high and disbelieving. "Lisa, he's Bryant Green. Nothing about him is private. Do you have any idea what you've just walked into?" Actually, Lisa didn't. She was beginning to realize that the contract she'd signed covered the legal aspects of their arrangement, but had told her nothing about the social dynamics she was now expected to navigate. "People are going to make assumptions," Jessica continued, lowering her voice. "Ugly ones. About why he married you, what you did to make it happen. And Jessie," she glanced over her shoulder. "Jessie is not handling this well." "Who's Jessie?" "Jessie Park. Senior associate. She's been after Bryant for 2 years, and everyone knew it was only a matter of time before." Jessica trailed off. "Just watch your back, okay? This firm is full of sharks, and you just painted a target on yourself." As if summoned by the warning, a woman appeared in Lisa's peripheral vision. Tall, elegant, wearing a designer suit that screamed old money and older grudges. She had the kind of face that belonged on magazine covers: sharp cheekbones, calculating eyes, a smile that never reached past her teeth. "So you're the mystery bride." Jessie Park looked Lisa up and down like she was examining a cockroach. "Elizabeth Chen. Or should I say Elizabeth Green now? Lisa is fine." "I'm sure it is." Jessie's smile sharpened. "Quite the Cinderella story. 3 months as a paralegal, and now you're married to one of the most eligible bachelors in Manhattan. You must be very talented." The implication was clear. Lisa had heard worse from her father's drinking buddies, from Marcus's friends, from every man who'd ever decided her worth was measured by what she could provide. She'd learned long ago not to react. "If you'll excuse me, I have work to do." "Of course. After all, you'll need to keep earning your salary. We wouldn't want anyone to think you married Bryant for his money." Jessie leaned in, her voice dropping to a whisper. "But between us, everyone already thinks that. And when he gets bored, and he will get bored, you'll be right back where you started. Except now, you'll have a failed marriage to Bryant Green on your record. Good luck finding another position after that." She walked away, leaving Lisa standing in the hallway with her heart pounding and her hands clenched into fists. This was going to be a very long year. Bryant's wolf was losing its mind. He'd felt it stirring for weeks now, ever since Elizabeth had started working at the firm. At first, he'd dismissed it as coincidence. His wolf had been agitated since the night in New Jersey, since the night he'd saved a human woman and felt the mate bond snap into place with enough force to nearly drive him to his knees. Since the night his enhanced senses had been destroyed in the pack war that followed, leaving him unable to track the scent that haunted his dreams. But this was different. Every time Elizabeth walked past his office, his wolf clawed at his control. Every time she spoke, something in him resonated like a tuning fork struck perfectly. Every time they were in the same room, he felt drawn to her in ways that made absolutely no rational sense. She was human. Completely, ordinarily human. He'd verified it a dozen different ways. Yet, "You're being ridiculous," he told himself, staring at the marriage certificate on his desk. Elizabeth Marie Chen. Age 23. No known family. Past she'd clearly fabricated. A vulnerability that called to every protective instinct he had. The marriage was supposed to solve his problems. His father was dying and demanding he accept the mate bond with Melissa Chen, the daughter of the Western Pax Alpha. A political alliance that would secure his eventual succession. A future Bryant wanted no part of. So he'd done the only logical thing. He'd married someone else. Someone human, someone temporary. Someone he could divorce in a year and walk away from with his autonomy intact. He'd chosen Elizabeth because the background check had shown she was desperate. Because she had no connections to expose the truth. Because she needed an escape as badly as he did. He had not chosen her because his wolf recognized something in her. He had not chosen her because sometimes when she looked at him, he felt like he was drowning. He had not chosen her because late at night, when he couldn't sleep, he found himself standing outside her bedroom door like a lovesick teenager, fighting the urge to. Mr. Green. His assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Your father is on line 1. Bryant closed his eyes and counted to 10. Then 20. Put him through. Bryant. Alexander Green's voice was weak now, ravaged by the cancer eating through him, but the alpha dominance still came through clear and strong. I hear congratulations are in order. I got married, as you demanded, to a human nobody. The disapproval was palpable. Not to Melissa Chen. Not to the alliance we need. You said I needed to marry before you died. You never specified who. Don't play games with me, boy. You think I don't know what you're doing. Contract marriage. A year-long farce. You dissolve it the moment I'm in the ground, and then what? You think the pack will accept you as alpha without a proper mate. Bryant's hand tightened on the phone. I'll handle the pack. You can barely handle yourself. Your senses are still damaged. You can't track your true mate. You can't even. Alexander broke off, coughing. When he spoke again, his voice was softer, almost pleading. Son, you need to find her. The woman from New Jersey. Elizabeth. Before it's too late. I know. Bryant had been searching for 3 months. Every Elizabeth in Manhattan between the ages of 20 and 30. Every emergency room record from that night. Every possible lead had turned into a dead end. His mate was a ghost. Then why waste time with this human girl? Divorce her. Marry Melissa. At least then you'd have pack support while you search. No. The word came out harder than Bryant intended. The thought of divorcing Elizabeth, even though that was literally the plan, even though they meant nothing to each other, made his wolf snarl with unexpected fury. Bryant. I have to go. I'll visit this weekend. He hung up before his father could argue further. The office felt too small suddenly. Too contained. Bryant stood and moved to the window, looking out over Manhattan and wondering what the hell was wrong with him. His true mate was out there somewhere. A woman named Elizabeth who he'd saved, who'd bitten him, who'd marked him in ways that should have made tracking her trivial. A woman he needed to find and claim before his damaged senses deteriorated completely. And instead, he'd married a different woman. A human woman who looked at him sometimes like she was trying to remember something important. A woman who made his wolf react in ways that defied every law of werewolf biology he understood. It was impossible. It was insane. And yet, as Bryant watched the sun set over the city, he couldn't shake the feeling that fate was laughing at him. Lisa woke at 3 in the morning to the sound of something breaking. She sat up in her unfamiliar bed, heart racing, trying to place the noise. It had come from somewhere else in the penthouse. Bryant's end, maybe. For a moment, she considered staying put. This wasn't her business. They weren't a real couple. Whatever was happening, Bryant could handle it himself. Then she heard it again. Not breaking this time, but a sound that made her blood run cold. Growl. Lisa was out of bed and down the hallway before conscious thought caught up with instinct. She knew that sound. Had heard it in a New Jersey alley 3 months ago. Had heard it in her nightmares ever since. Bryant's bedroom door was ajar. She pushed it open slowly, quietly. He was standing in the middle of the room, shirtless, his body rigid with tension. His eyes were gold. Lisa's breath caught. And as Bryant's head snapped toward her, as those impossible golden eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made her knees weak, she finally understood. The man who'd saved her. The man she'd married. They were the same person. And neither of them had realized it until this exact moment. Chapter 4. The Mate He Cannot Sense. For a heartbeat that stretched into eternity, they stared at each other. Lisa's mind was fracturing, trying to reconcile 3 months of impossible memories with the man standing 10 feet away. Bryant's eyes were gold, bright, burning gold, and his breathing was ragged. His hands clenched into fists like he was fighting something internal and losing. Then he blinked, and the gold was gone. Just brown. Ordinary brown. Lisa wondered if she was losing her mind. Elizabeth. His voice was rough, strained. You shouldn't be here. I heard. She stopped. What had she heard? A growl. That was insane. I heard something break. I thought you might be hurt. Bryant looked past her to where a water glass lay shattered on the hardwood floor. He must have knocked it off the nightstand. Must have been having a nightmare. That was the rational explanation. Except Lisa had stopped believing in rational explanations the night she'd been attacked by wolves that turned into men. I'm fine. Go back to bed. He turned away from her, dismissive, but Lisa saw the tension in his shoulders. Saw the way his hands were shaking. Saw something that looked almost like pain cross his face before he could hide it. You're not fine, she said quietly. This isn't part of our arrangement. Bryant's voice went cold, professional. We're not friends, Elizabeth. We're not confidants. We're business partners sharing a living space. My private struggles are not your concern. Should have stung. Should have reminded her of her place. Instead, it made something in Lisa's chest tighten with an emotion she couldn't name. The man in New Jersey, she said before she could stop herself. The one who saved me. That was you, wasn't it? Bryant went absolutely still. The silence stretched so long that Lisa thought he might not answer. Might throw her out. Might call the whole thing off and send her back to the streets with nothing but a broken contract and shattered illusions. Then he laughed. It was a bitter, hollow sound. You were attacked in New Jersey. 3 months ago. By things that looked like wolves but weren't wolves. And someone saved me. Lisa took a step closer, her heart hammering. It was you. I know it was you. When in New Jersey. What date? October 14th. Bryant turned to face her fully, and the expression on his face was so complicated that Lisa couldn't begin to parse it. Frustration. Confusion. Something that looked almost like desperate hope. I was in New Jersey on October 14th, he said slowly. I did save a woman from rogue werewolves. A woman who bit me. He touched his shoulder unconsciously, and Lisa's eyes went to the exact spot where she remembered sinking her teeth into silver fur. A woman whose scent I can't track because my senses were damaged in a pack war 2 days later. Werewolves, Lisa repeated. Hearing him say it out loud made it real in a way her memories hadn't. You're a werewolf. Alpha werewolf. And yes, Bryant was watching her carefully, like he expected her to run screaming. Does that change things? Do you want to dissolve the contract? Lisa should have said yes. Should have been terrified. Should have put as much distance between herself and this revelation as humanly possible. Instead, she felt pieces clicking into place. The way Bryant moved. The authority he commanded without trying. The feeling she'd had for 3 months that he was dangerous and safe in equal measure. The pull she felt toward him that defied all logic. The woman you saved, Lisa said. You've been looking for her. It wasn't a question, but Bryant answered anyway. Yes, she's my. He hesitated, and for the first time since Lisa had met him, he looked uncertain, vulnerable. In werewolf culture, there's something called a mate bond. It's rare, sacred. When it forms, it's supposed to be unmistakable. The sense, the pull, the recognition is instant and absolute. Supposed to be. I felt the bond form that night. Felt it snap into place when she bit me. Bryant's hand went to his shoulder again. But then I lost my enhanced senses. Can't smell properly, can't track, can't sense the bond the way I should be able to. All I know is that her name is Elizabeth and she lives somewhere in Manhattan. Lisa's legs felt weak. She sat down on the edge of Bryant's bed without asking permission. You've been searching for an Elizabeth in Manhattan. For 3 months. Every database, every record, every possible lead. Nothing. Bryant ran a hand through his hair, frustrated. And then I married you because I needed to stop my father from forcing me into a political mating before I could find her. The irony isn't lost on me. Bryant. Lisa's voice came out as barely a whisper. My name is Elizabeth. Elizabeth Marie Chen. I go by Lisa because her father had screamed Elizabeth like a curse. Because Marcus had whispered Elizabeth before he hit her. Because she'd wanted to be someone new. Because I needed to be someone else. Bryant froze. What are you saying? I'm saying I was attacked in New Jersey on October 14th. I'm saying something saved me, and I bit it, and I've been having dreams about gold eyes ever since. Lisa stood up, her heart racing. I'm saying maybe you've been looking for someone who's been standing right in front of you for 3 months. That's impossible. But Bryant was moving toward her now. His eyes searching her face like he was seeing her for the first time. You don't smell like her. You don't feel like her. The bond, if you were her I would know. Your senses are damaged. Not that damaged. Not enough to miss my own mate living in my home. Bryant stopped inches away from her. Close enough that Lisa could feel the heat radiating off his skin. Unless. He reached out slowly, giving her time to pull away. When she didn't, he touched her face, his fingers gentle against her jaw. Lisa felt that jolt again, stronger this time, like lightning grounding through her bones. Bryant's breath hitched. It's you, he whispered. How did I not see it? How did I not? He pulled back abruptly, his expression shifting from wonder to something darker. No, this doesn't make sense. If you were my mate, the bond would be screaming at me. Every instinct I have would be demanding I claim you, mark you, keep you. Instead, I feel nothing. The words hit Lisa like a physical blow. Nothing. Not the way I should. Bryant's voice went flat again, professional. Which means either my senses are more damaged than I thought, or this is a coincidence. A cruel cosmic joke. Is that what you think this is? A joke? I think, Bryant said carefully, that we need to be logical about this. You were attacked. Saved you. We happened to cross paths again through your job application. I happened to propose a contract marriage. Now we're discovering the connection. He shook his head. But the mate bond doesn't work this way. If you were truly mine, I would know. Beyond doubt. Beyond question. Maybe your senses are more damaged than you think. Or maybe you're just a woman I saved who happens to work for me. Bryant stepped back, putting distance between them. Either way, it changes nothing. We have a contract. 1 year. Then we go our separate ways. Lisa felt something crack inside her chest. She'd spent 3 months trying not to feel anything for this man, trying to maintain professional distance, trying to convince herself that the pull she felt was just gratitude or fear or desperation. Now she was being told it might be real, might be fate itself, and he was dismissing it as coincidence. You're going to pretend this conversation never happened, she said. I'm going to verify the facts. Bryant moved to his desk, already pulling out his phone. I'll contact a healer who specializes in damaged mate bonds. If there's any possibility that you're my true mate and my senses simply can't detect it, we need to know. And if I am? Bryant looked at her, his expression unreadable. Then everything changes. The contract becomes irrelevant. You would be my Luna, bound to me for life. You would enter a world of pack politics and supernatural dangers that you can't begin to imagine. Your human life would be over. And if I'm not? Then we continue as planned. 1 year. Then freedom. Lisa wrapped her arms around herself, suddenly cold despite the heated apartment. Which are you hoping for? Bryant was quiet for a long moment. I don't know, he said finally. Ask me again when we have answers. The healer arrived 2 days later. Dr. Sarah Kim was a tiny Korean woman in her 60s who took one look at Bryant and Lisa sitting on opposite ends of the penthouse couch and sighed like she'd seen this particular brand of stupidity 1,000 times before. Alpha Green. You called me about a damaged mate bond. Yes. I need you to determine if Elizabeth is my true mate. My senses were compromised in the Black River conflict, and I can't verify the bond on my own. Dr. Kim turned to Lisa. And you? What do you feel when you look at him? Lisa glanced at Bryant, at his carefully neutral expression, at the way he was holding himself rigid like he could control the outcome through sheer force of will. I feel like I'm supposed to know him, she said honestly. Like I've been looking for him my whole life without realizing it. Poetic. Useless for diagnosis, but poetic. Dr. Kim pulled out a small leather case. I'll need to draw blood from both of you. Mate bonds leave biological markers that persist even when the supernatural senses are compromised. The process was quick and clinical. Dr. Kim worked in silence, drawing vials of blood and mixing them with substances Lisa didn't recognize. Finally, she held up a test tube where their blood had been combined. It was glowing. Faintly but unmistakably, there was a soft golden light emanating from the mixture. Well, Dr. Kim said. That's definitive. What does it mean? Lisa asked, though part of her already knew. It means you're mates. True mates. The bond formed, probably during a moment of intense stress or connection. She bit me, Bryant said. That would do it. Marking an alpha, even accidentally, can trigger the bond if the compatibility is high enough. Dr. Kim set down the test tube. But here's the problem. This, she gestured to the glowing blood, shows the bond exists. It doesn't tell me if it's stable, if it's been accepted, or if it can survive long-term with one party unable to sense it properly. Can you fix my senses? Bryant leaned forward intense. Maybe. It would take months of treatment, possibly years. And there's no guarantee. Dr. Kim looked between them. But I can tell you this, the bond is there. Whether you choose to honor it or reject it is up to you. Can it be rejected? Lisa asked. Safely. Theoretically. Though I've never seen a true mate bond successfully severed without severe psychological consequences for both parties. Dr. Kim started packing up her equipment. My advice. Give yourselves time. Let the bond strengthen naturally. See if Alpha Green's senses return. Make the decision when you have all the information. How much time? Bryant asked. As long as it takes. Mate bonds don't run on human schedules. He paused at the door. But if I were you, I'd stop fighting it. Fate chose you for each other. That's not something to take lightly. After she left, Lisa and Bryant sat in silence. So, Lisa said finally, I'm your mate. Apparently. But you can't sense it. No. And you're planning to reject the bond anyway. Bryant looked at her. His expression carefully controlled. I'm planning to give us both a choice. In 1 year when the contract ends we'll know more. My senses might be healed. The bond might be stronger. And we can make an informed decision about whether to make this real or walk away. That's very rational, Lisa said. One of us has to be. What if I don't want to wait a year? The question hung in the air. Bryant's jaw tightened. What are you saying? Lisa didn't know. She'd spent her whole life running from bonds, from ties, from anything that made her vulnerable. The idea of being fated to someone should have terrified her. Instead, looking at Bryant, this complicated, damaged man who'd saved her life and married her and couldn't feel what he was supposed to feel, she felt something dangerously close to hope. I'm saying maybe Dr. Kim is right. Maybe we should stop fighting this. Elizabeth. Lisa, she corrected. If we're going to be mates, you should probably call me what I actually go by. Lisa. Her name in his voice sounded different. Softer. You don't understand what you're asking for. Being mated to an alpha means danger. Politics. A world where humans are prey as often as they're protected. You'd be giving up everything. I don't have anything to give up, Lisa said simply. No family. No past worth keeping. No future I was particularly excited about. She met his eyes. Maybe fate gave me to you because we both needed saving. Bryant stared at her like she was something precious and terrifying. I can't promise I'll feel what I'm supposed to feel. That's okay. I'll feel enough for both of us. It was a risk. Maybe the biggest risk Lisa had ever taken. But she'd survived her father's fists and Marcus's cruelty and wolves in dark alleys. She could survive this. She could survive Bryant Green and his damaged senses and the possibility that fate had made a mistake. Or she could do something even more dangerous. She could believe that fate knew exactly what it was doing. 3 days later, Bryant received a message that changed everything. It came from an unknown number, encrypted, routed through enough proxies that tracing it would be impossible. I know you're looking for Elizabeth, the woman from New Jersey. I know where she is. Meet me tomorrow night at Pier 47. Come alone. It's time to cut the mate bond properly, before it destroys you both. Bryant stared at the message, his blood running cold. Someone knew about the mate bond. Someone knew about Elizabeth. The real Elizabeth, his Elizabeth, not the contract wife living in his apartment. Except they were the same person. Weren't they? Dr. Kim had confirmed it. The blood test had glowed. Lisa was his mate. But this message suggested otherwise. Suggested that his real mate was still out there, still waiting, still in danger. Bryant looked across the penthouse to where Lisa was curled up on the couch with a book, her hair falling in her face, completely unaware of the message that had just turned his world upside down again. He had 24 hours to decide. Trust the test. Trust Lisa. Trust that fate had brought them together despite every logical obstacle. Or trust his instincts, his damaged senses, the feeling that something about this whole situation still didn't add up. Tomorrow night at Pier 47, he would get his answers. One way or another. Lisa knew something was wrong the moment she woke up. Bryant's side of the penthouse, she'd started thinking of it that way. His side and her side, like they were planets in separate orbits, was too quiet. She checked her phone. 6:47 a.m. He should have been up already, should have been on his second coffee and first conference call, filling the apartment with that controlled energy that made her pulse quicken. Instead, silence. She found him in his office, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at his computer screen with an intensity that made her stomach drop. Bryant. He didn't look up. We need to talk about your past. The words hit Lisa like ice water. This was it. He'd discovered the lies on her application, the fabricated references, the truth about her father and Marcus and all the things she'd run from. What about it? The attack in New Jersey. You said you were alone. Bryant finally looked at her, his eyes searching. Were you? Or was there someone with you? Someone who might have also encountered the rogues. I was alone. Why? Bryant pulled up something on his screen. A message, Lisa realized, reading it upside down. Her blood went cold. Someone contacted me last night. They claim to know where my mate is. They want to meet tonight to help me sever the bond. But I'm right here. I know. Which means either Dr. Kim's test was wrong, or someone is lying to me. Bryant started pacing. Lisa, I need you to tell me everything about that night. Every detail. Don't leave anything out. Lisa's mind raced. She'd spent 3 months trying to forget that night, trying to convince herself it had been a nightmare. Now Bryant was asking her to relive it, and the desperation in his voice made it clear that everything might depend on her answer. I was running, she started. From my ex Marcus. He'd found out I was planning to leave and It got bad. So I grabbed my bag and ran. I had enough money for a bus ticket to New York, But I had to wait until the next morning. I was cutting through the warehouse district because it was faster, and that's when they came. The rogues. How many? 3. First I thought they were dogs, but they were too big, too wrong. They cornered me against a fence. Lisa wrapped her arms around herself, remembering. I thought I was going to die. Then you or something crashed into them. It was so fast, so violent. And then there was just one wolf left. Silver and black. With gold eyes. And you bit it. I was terrified. I grabbed broken glass, slashed at it, and when it came closer I just reacted. Bit down on its shoulder. Lisa touched her lips unconsciously. I tasted blood. Then it shifted into a man, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was on a bus to Manhattan. Did you see anyone else? Hear anything that might suggest someone else was there? No. It was just me and the wolves and you. Lisa moved closer to him. Bryant, that test Dr. Kim ran. Could have been contaminated. Could have been influenced by wishful thinking or residual contact between us. Bryant's jaw was tight. I need to be sure, Lisa. If there's even a chance that my real mate is out there in danger, because I'm too damaged to find her properly. Then what? You're just going to meet some mysterious stranger who conveniently messages you right after we confirm the bond. Lisa felt anger rising, hot and unexpected. This is obviously a trap. Or it's the answer I've been looking for. You want it to be someone else. The realization hurt more than Lisa expected. You want your mate to be anyone but me. Bryant stopped pacing, turned to face her fully. For a moment, his expression softened. That's not true. Then why are you so eager to believe I'm not her? Because you deserve better than this. The words burst out of Bryant like he'd been holding them back for days. You deserve a mate who can feel the bond properly, who can protect you the way you should be protected, who isn't so damaged that he can't even sense when his own wife is standing in front of him. You deserve someone whole, Lisa. Not this. The vulnerability in his voice made Lisa's anger dissolve. Maybe I don't want someone whole, she said quietly. Maybe I want you. Damaged senses and all. They stared at each other across the office. The air between them felt charged, heavy with words neither of them knew how to say. Bryant's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. I have to go to the office. We'll talk about this tonight. After you meet the mysterious stranger. I'm not going to meet them. You're right, it's probably a trap. But the hesitation in his voice said otherwise. Lisa watched him leave, and a cold certainty settled in her chest. He was lying. Bryant was absolutely going to that meeting. And if he went alone, he was going to get himself killed. Chapter 5. The Enemy in Disguise. Lisa knew something was wrong the moment she woke up. Bryant's side of the penthouse, she'd started thinking of it that way. His side and her side, like they were planets in separate orbits, was too quiet. She checked her phone. 6:47 a.m. He should have been up already, should have been on his second coffee and first conference call, filling the apartment with that controlled energy that made her pulse quicken. Instead, silence. She found him in his office, still wearing yesterday's clothes, staring at his computer screen with an intensity that made her stomach drop. Bryant. He didn't look up. We need to talk about your past. The words hit Lisa like ice water. This was it. He'd discovered the lies on her application, the fabricated references, the truth about her father and Marcus and all the things she'd run from. What about it? The attack in New Jersey. You said you were alone. Bryant finally looked at her, his eyes searching. Were you? Or was there someone with you? Someone who might have also encountered the rogues. I was alone. Why? Bryant pulled up something on his screen. A message, Lisa realized, reading it upside down. Her blood went cold. Someone contacted me last night. They claim to know where my mate is. They want to meet tonight to help me sever the bond. But I'm right here. I know. Which means either Dr. Kim's test was wrong, or someone is lying to me. Bryant started pacing. Lisa, I need you to tell me everything about that night. Every detail. Don't leave anything out. Lisa's mind raced. She'd spent 3 months trying to forget that night, trying to convince herself it had been a nightmare. Now Bryant was asking her to relive it, and the desperation in his voice made it clear that everything might depend on her answer. I was running, she started. From my ex Marcus. He'd found out I was planning to leave and It got bad. So I grabbed my bag and ran. I had enough money for a bus ticket to New York, but I had to wait until the next morning. I was cutting through the warehouse district because it was faster, and that's when they came. The rogues. How many? 3. First I thought they were dogs, but they were too big, too wrong. They cornered me against a fence. Lisa wrapped her arms around herself, remembering. I thought I was going to die. Then you or something crashed into them. It was so fast, so violent. And then there was just one wolf left. Silver and black. With gold eyes. And you bit it. I was terrified. I grabbed broken glass, slashed at it, and when it came closer I just reacted. Bit down on its shoulder. Lisa touched her lips unconsciously. I tasted blood. Then it shifted into a man, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was on a bus to Manhattan. Did you see anyone else? Hear anything that might suggest someone else was there? No. It was just me and the wolves and you. Lisa moved closer to him. Bryant, that test Dr. Kim ran, could have been contaminated. Could have been influenced by wishful thinking or residual contact between us. Bryant's jaw was tight. I need to be sure, Lisa. If there's even a chance that my real mate is out there in danger, because I'm too damaged to find her properly. Then what? You're just going to meet some mysterious stranger who conveniently messages you right after we confirm the bond. Lisa felt anger rising, hot and unexpected. This is obviously a trap. Or it's the answer I've been looking for. You want it to be someone else. The realization hurt more than Lisa expected. You want your mate to be anyone but me. Bryant stopped pacing, turned to face her fully. For a moment, his expression softened. That's not true. Then why are you so eager to believe I'm not her? Because you deserve better than this. The words burst out of Bryant like he'd been holding them back for days. You deserve a mate who can feel the bond properly, who can protect you the way you should be protected, who isn't so damaged that he can't even sense when his own wife is standing in front of him. You deserve someone whole, Lisa. Not this. The vulnerability in his voice made Lisa's anger dissolve. Maybe I don't want someone whole, she said quietly. Maybe I want you. Damaged senses and all. They stared at each other across the office. The air between them felt charged, heavy with words neither of them knew how to say. Bryant's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. I have to go to the office. We'll talk about this tonight. After you meet the mysterious stranger. I'm not going to meet them. You're right, it's probably a trap. But the hesitation in his voice said otherwise. Lisa watched him leave, and a cold certainty settled in her chest. He was lying. Bryant was absolutely going to that meeting. And if he went alone, he was going to get himself killed. Lisa made it through exactly 3 hours at the office before her anxiety became unbearable. She tried to focus on work, tried to ignore the whispers that still followed her everywhere, tried not to think about Bryant walking into an obvious trap because his damaged senses made him doubt what should have been certain. Then Dylan Reeves walked into her life. He appeared at her desk during her lunch break. Tall, handsome in that carefully constructed way, with warm brown eyes and a smile that was probably meant to be charming. Elizabeth Chen. He offered his hand. Dylan Reeves. I'm a private investigator, and I think we need to talk. Lisa's instincts screamed danger, but she shook his hand anyway. His grip was warm, firm, almost too familiar. About what? About the attack in New Jersey. About werewolves. About the fact that you're married to Bryant Green and have absolutely no idea what you've gotten yourself into. Dylan glanced around the busy office. Is there somewhere private we can talk? Against her better judgment, Lisa followed him to a conference room. How do you know about the attack? She asked once the door was closed. Because I was hired to investigate it. There's been a series of rogue attacks in the tri-state area, all following the same pattern. Young women, alone, targeted by organized packs. Dylan pulled out a tablet, showed her photos. You're the only one who survived. Lisa's stomach turned. The photos showed crime scenes, blood, claw marks, bodies that had been torn apart. Why are you showing me this? Because you need to understand what Bryant is. What he's capable of. Dylan's voice was gentle, almost sympathetic. You think he saved you, don't you? That he's your hero. He did save me. Did he? Or did he stage the attack? Dylan leaned forward. Think about it, Elizabeth. Rogue werewolves just happen to attack you. An alpha just happens to be nearby. You just happen to bite him, creating a mate bond. Then you just happen to get a job at his firm, and he just happens to propose a contract marriage. He paused. That's a lot of coincidences. You're wrong. Am I? Tell me. Has Bryant ever explained why his senses were damaged? Has he told you about the Black River conflict? About what he did there? Lisa didn't answer. She didn't know. Bryant had mentioned a pack war, but he'd never elaborated. Bryant Green isn't a hero, Elizabeth. He's a killer. One of the most dangerous alphas on the East Coast. And if you're not careful, you're going to end up like the women in those photos. Get out. Lisa's voice was shaking. Get out right now, or I'm calling security. Dylan stood, but he left a business card on the table. When you're ready to know the truth, call me. I can help you disappear before it's too late. Before Bryant decides he's done playing house and shows you what alphas really do to humans they're finished with. He left, and Lisa sat alone in the conference room with her hands trembling and her mind racing. She didn't believe him. Couldn't believe him. But a small, terrified part of her, the part that had survived her father's abuse and Marcus's violence, whispered that maybe Dylan was right to be suspicious. Maybe she'd been so desperate for safety that she'd walked straight into another trap. Lisa pulled out her phone and called the only person who might have answers. Dr. Kim. It's Elizabeth Chen. I need to know everything you can tell me about Bryant Green. And I need to know it now. Bryant knew he was being followed. He'd noticed the tail leaving the office. Amateur hour, really, someone in a dark sedan 3 cars back. They'd stuck with him through Midtown onto the West Side Highway, all the way to the industrial waterfront where Pier 47 sat abandoned and rotting. Perfect place for an ambush. Perfect place to get answers. Bryant parked and got out slowly, letting his follower think they were being subtle. The night air was cold, tasting of salt and garbage and something else. Something wrong. Silver. Someone had laced the area with silver particles. Not enough to kill a werewolf, but enough to weaken one. Enough to level the playing field if things went violent. You came. The voice came from the shadows of the pier. A figure stepped out, and Bryant's wolf bristled with instant recognition. Dylan Reeves. Former beta of the Western Pack. Declared rogue 2 years ago after challenging his alpha and losing. Rumored to be building his own pack through recruitment and violence. Rumored to be insane. Dylan. Bryant kept his voice neutral. This is your meeting. Surprised. You shouldn't be. I've been watching you, Bryant. Watching your pathetic search for a mate you can't even find. Watching you marry that scared little human and pretend it means nothing. Dylan smiled, and there was nothing warm in it. I'm here to make you an offer. Jamie. Bring your pack, your resources, your name. In exchange, I'll tell you where your real mate is. Lisa is my mate. Lisa is a human you married out of convenience. Your real mate, Elizabeth, the one who bit you, is being held by someone who understands her value. Dylan started circling. Someone who knows that controlling your mate means controlling you. Someone who could use an alpha of your caliber in the coming war. What war? The one that's going to remake the supernatural world. Humans have ruled long enough, Bryant. It's time for predators to take their rightful place. Dylan's eyes flashed gold. And you're going to help me whether you want to or not. Because if you don't, Elizabeth dies. Slowly. Painfully. And you'll feel every moment of it through the bond you can't even sense properly. Bryant's control snapped. He shifted in a heartbeat. Bones cracking, muscles expanding. His wolf bursting free with a snarl of pure rage. Dylan shifted too, but Bryant was faster, stronger, driven by protective instincts that screamed mate, threat, danger, kill. They collided in an explosion of fur and fangs. Bryant had the advantage of size and experience, but Dylan fought dirty, going for eyes, for the throat, using the silver-tainted air to his advantage. Every breath Bryant took weakened him slightly. Every second the fight dragged on. His strength diminished. You can't win. Dylan's voice came out distorted through his wolf form. You're already dying and you don't even know it. Those damaged senses. That wasn't the war. That was poison. Slow acting, eating away at everything that makes you alpha. Bryant faltered just for a second. Dylan took the opening. Silver claws raked across Bryant's side, drawing blood and something worse. A burning sensation that spread like fire through his veins. More poison. Bryant hit the ground hard. His vision blurring. Through the haze, he saw Dylan shift back to human, saw him pull out a silver blade, saw death approaching with terrible certainty. Don't worry, Dylan said almost kindly. I'll take good care of your widow. She'll make an excellent Luna for my new pack. Once I've broken her spirit, of course. Humans are so much more useful when they're too terrified to disobey. The rage that tore through Bryant at those words was pure, primal, and powerful enough to override the poison flooding his system. He surged up, catching Dylan off guard, and sank his teeth into the rogue's shoulder, the same spot where Lisa had bitten him months ago. The same spot that carried his mate mark. Dylan screamed. The bond, Bryant's damaged, barely functioning mate bond, suddenly flared to life. For one perfect moment, his senses returned fully. He could smell Lisa, could feel her terror and determination, could sense that she was close. Too close. She'd followed him. Course she had. Bryant released Dylan and shifted back, bleeding, poisoned, but alive. You're right about one thing, he said, his voice rough. I can't sense my mate properly. But she's not some prisoner you're holding over my head. Then where is she? Dylan was clutching his bleeding shoulder, backing away. Right here. Lisa stepped out of the shadows, and Bryant's heart stopped. She had a gun. He didn't know where she'd gotten it, didn't care, and it was pointed directly at Dylan's chest. Her hands were shaking, but her expression was pure steel. You stay away from my husband, she said. Dylan laughed. Your husband. Elizabeth, you don't understand. Bryant isn't your savior. He's the one who arranged the whole attack. He wanted to create a mate bond, and you were just convenient prey. You're lying, Lisa said, but Bryant heard the doubt in her voice. Ask him about Black River. Ask him how many humans died there. Ask him what he's really capable of when the monster comes out. Lisa. Bryant tried to stand, failed. The poison was spreading. Don't listen to him. Please. Why should she listen to you? Dylan was moving slowly, circling. You can't even feel the bond. Can't even prove she's your mate. For all you know, I'm telling the truth. For all you know, you're exactly the monster I say you are. Lisa's gun wavered. And in that moment of hesitation, Dylan struck. He moved faster than humanly possible, crossing the distance to Lisa in a blur. Bryant tried to intercept, tried to protect her, but his body wouldn't respond. The poison had him paralyzed. He could only watch in horror as Dylan grabbed Lisa, the silver knife appearing in his hand like magic, pressing against her throat. Here's what's going to happen, Dylan said calmly. Bryant, you're going to shift and submit to me. Bare your throat. Accept me as your alpha. Or I cut her throat and we find out if the mate bond is real when she dies in front of you. Bryant's wolf howled inside him, tearing at his control. Every instinct demanded he fight, but he couldn't move, couldn't save her, could only watch Lisa's terrified eyes and know that he'd failed. Do it, Lisa whispered. No, Bryant, please. Just do what he says. If I submit to him, we both die anyway. Slower, more painfully. Bryant forced himself to meet her eyes. I'm sorry, Lisa. I'm so sorry. How touching, Dylan said. Last words before I. The gunshot was deafening in the enclosed space. Dylan jerked, looking down at the spreading red stain on his chest. Lisa had somehow twisted in his grip, had gotten the gun between them, had fired point blank. It wasn't a kill shot. Dylan was too strong, too fast, already healing, but it was enough. He dropped the knife. Lisa scrambled away. And Bryant, driven by desperation and rage and love, he could finally feel burning through the mate bond like sunlight after years of darkness, found the strength to move. He shifted mid-lunge, his wolf massive and terrible and ready to end this. Dylan tried to run. He didn't make it 3 steps. Bryant's jaws closed around his throat, and this time, he didn't let go until the rogue stopped moving. The silence after violence was always the worst part. Bryant shifted back, covered in blood. Dylan's, the poison still burning through his veins. Lisa was crouched against a support beam, the gun fallen from her shaking hands, her eyes wide with shock. Lisa. He crawled toward her, every movement agony. Are you hurt? You killed him. I had to. He would have. I know. Lisa looked at Bryant, really looked at him, and he saw the moment she made her decision. You're poisoned. Yes. How bad? Bad enough that I won't make it to a hospital without help. Bryant's vision was starting to blur again. You should go. Call 911 once you're safe. Tell them there was a fight, someone died. Leave me out of it. Shut up. Lisa was suddenly next to him, her small hands pressing against his wounds. You don't get to save my life twice and then tell me to leave you. That's not how this works. Lisa. I said shut up. She pulled out her phone with bloody fingers. Dr. Kim. It's Elizabeth. Bryant's been poisoned. Silver and something else. We're at Pier 47 and he's dying and I don't know what to do. Bryant couldn't hear Dr. Kim's response, but he felt Lisa's arms around him, felt her warmth, felt the mate bond singing between them clear and true for the first time since that night in New Jersey. I've got you, Lisa whispered against his hair. I've got you and I'm not letting go. You hear me, Bryant Green. You're my mate, and you're not allowed to die on me. The last thing Bryant heard before darkness took him was Lisa's voice, fierce and loving and absolutely certain. You're mine. And I'm keeping you. Chapter 6, Silver and Blood. The first thing Bryant became aware of was pain. Not the sharp, immediate agony of combat, but a deeper burning that felt like his bones were dissolving from the inside out. Every breath was glass in his lungs. Every heartbeat was a hammer against his skull. The second thing he became aware of was Lisa's voice. Told you I'm not leaving. I don't care if it's dangerous. I don't care if the pack protocols say humans shouldn't be present during alpha healing. He's my husband and I'm staying right here. Mrs. Green, you need to understand. That was Dr. Kim using her patient voice. No, you need to understand. 3 hours ago, someone tried to kill us both. 2 hours ago, I watched my husband tear out a man's throat to protect me. 1 hour ago, he stopped breathing twice while you were extracting the poison. So forgive me if I'm not particularly interested in your protocols right now. Bryant tried to open his eyes. Managed to get them halfway. He was in his bedroom. He recognized the ceiling, the windows, the obscenely expensive sheets that suddenly felt like sandpaper against his oversensitive skin. Dr. Kim stood near the foot of the bed with her medical bag. And Lisa sat in a chair pulled up close, her hand wrapped around his, her face pale and determined and streaked with dried blood. His blood, he realized. She was covered in it. Lisa. His voice came out as a croak. Her head snapped toward him, and the relief that flooded her face was so intense it made Bryant's chest ache in ways that had nothing to do with poison. You're awake. Oh, thank God you're awake. She leaned closer, her free hand touching his face like she needed to confirm he was real. How do you feel? Like I died and came back wrong. You almost did. I mean. Dr. Kim says the poison was designed specifically to kill alphas. Something called wolfsbane mixed with silver and... She looked to Dr. Kim. Aconite, hemlock, and a synthetic compound I've never seen before, Dr. Kim supplied. Whoever created this knew exactly what they were doing. Another hour and the damage would have been irreversible. Dylan, Bryant managed. He said he'd been poisoning me. My damaged senses were caused by slow-acting toxins introduced over months, possibly years. The war injury was real, but it was exacerbated by deliberate poisoning. Dr. Kim's expression was grim. Someone wanted you weakened, vulnerable, unable to sense your mate bond properly. Why? Lisa asked. Control. An alpha without full senses is easier to manipulate. Easier to isolate from his pack. Easier to... Dr. Kim stopped, glanced at Bryant. We should discuss this when you're stronger. No. Bryant forced himself to sit up, ignoring the way the room spun. Tell me everything. Now. Dr. Kim sighed. The poison was designed to do more than weaken you. It was designed to make you desperate. Desperate enough to make mistakes, like marrying a human woman without fully vetting her background. Desperate enough to fall for obvious traps. Dylan wanted you compromised when he made his move. His move for what? Pack territory. Resources. Your bloodline. Dr. Kim set down a vial of dark liquid. Dylan was building an army, Bryant. The rogue attacks across the tri-state area weren't random. He was recruiting, testing, weeding out the weak. And he wanted you as his lieutenant, or dead if you refused to serve. Bryant's hands clenched into fists. The other alphas need to know. If Dylan had allies. Already handled. I contacted your father and the Pack Council while you were unconscious. They're coordinating a sweep of known rogue territories. Dr. Kim started packing up her equipment. You, meanwhile, need at least 72 hours of rest before the poison is fully purged from your system. That means no shifting, no pack business, and absolutely no strenuous activity. 72 hours. I don't have. You have exactly 72 hours, or the next time you shift, your wolf will tear you apart from the inside. Dr. Kim's voice went hard. I've extracted most of the poison, but residue remains in your system. Needs time to metabolize. Push yourself too hard and you'll die. Understood. Bryant wanted to argue. Every instinct demanded he get up, track down Dylan's allies, protect his pack. But the exhaustion pulling at him was profound, and he could feel Lisa's hand tightening around his, anchoring him. "Understood," he said finally. "Good. Mrs. Green, he'll need constant monitoring. Any fever, convulsions, or bleeding from the eyes, you call me immediately." Dr. Kim paused at the door. "And Bryant, you should know your senses are coming back. The poison suppressed them, but now that it's being purged, you should start experiencing full sensory awareness within the next 48 hours. Including the mate bond." She left, and Bryant was alone with Lisa for the first time since Pier 47. They stared at each other in the dim bedroom light. "You followed me," Bryant said. "Of course I followed you. You were walking into an obvious trap. You could have been killed. So could you. So we're even." Lisa's jaw was set, stubborn. "And before you start with the 'you're human, you can't understand the danger' speech, let me save you the trouble. I shot a werewolf tonight. I watched you kill someone. I held you while you were dying and refused to let go until Dr. Kim arrived with an antidote. So I think I understand the danger just fine." Bryant studied her. This small, fierce woman who'd survived abuse and rogue attacks and marriage to a damaged alpha, who'd walked into danger without hesitation because she'd decided he was worth saving. "Where did you get the gun?" "Jessica. Turns out she keeps one in her desk for New York emergencies. I borrowed it." Lisa glanced down at their joined hands. "I've never shot anyone before. Never even held a gun before tonight. You saved my life. You saved mine first. So really, I'm still one behind." She tried to smile, but it came out shaky. "Bryant, what Dylan said about you arranging the attack about Black River. All lies. Psychological warfare designed to make you doubt me." Bryant shifted, trying to get comfortable and failing. But he was right about one thing. "I'm dangerous. What you saw tonight, the violence, the killing, that's part of who I am. Part of what being an alpha means." "I know. Do you? 'Cause there's no going back from this, Lisa. You've seen what I really am. If you want to dissolve the contract, leave before this gets more complicated, I'll understand. I'll make sure you're protected, make sure you get everything you were promised and more." "Stop talking." Lisa's voice was quiet but firm. "Just stop. I'm not leaving. I'm not dissolving anything. And I'm definitely not running away just because you showed me who you really are. Lisa, do you know what I thought when I saw Dylan holding that knife to my throat?" She leaned closer, her eyes bright with unshed tears. "I thought, I'm going to die without ever telling Bryant that I'm glad it was him. Glad he was the one who saved me in New Jersey. Glad he was the one who offered me the contract. Glad he was the one fate chose for me, even if it took us 3 months to figure it out." Bryant's breath caught. "You could have anyone. Someone without all this." He gestured vaguely at himself, at the blood-stained sheets, at the evidence of the violence they'd survived. "Someone normal. I don't want normal. I want you." Lisa's hand came up to cup his face, gentle despite the conviction in her voice. "Damaged senses, supernatural politics, murder attempts and all. I want you, Bryant Green. And I think," she hesitated, then pushed forward, "I think maybe I've wanted you since the moment I bit you in that alley and felt something click into place that I didn't even know was broken." The mate bond hummed between them, stronger now, clearer. Bryant could almost feel it, could almost sense what Dr. Kim promised would return fully in the next 2 days. "I can't promise this will be easy," he said. "Good. I don't trust easy anymore. Easy is how people like my father and Marcus got me to stay when I should have run." Lisa's thumb brushed across his cheekbone. "But hard I can do. Hard is honest. And right now, I need honest more than I need easy." Bryant pulled her closer, ignoring his body's protests, until he could rest his forehead against hers. "I like you," he said. "I know the bond is supposed to make us mates, supposed to make this inevitable. But even without that, even if Dr. Kim had said you weren't my mate, I'd still like you. still want you here. Still. I know. Lisa's lips brushed against his featherlight. I like you too. It wasn't a kiss, not really. Just a promise of what could be. When he wasn't dying from poison and she wasn't covered in blood and the world wasn't trying to tear them apart. You should sleep, Lisa said. Doctor's orders. Stay. The word came out more vulnerable than Bryant intended. Please. I'm not going anywhere. She settled into the chair, her hand still wrapped around his. I'll be right here when you wake up. Bryant let his eyes close, let exhaustion pull him under. For the first time since the attack in New Jersey, since his senses had been damaged and his world had tilted sideways, he felt safe, 'cause Lisa was there. His mate, his wife, his salvation. And she'd chosen to stay. Lisa woke to the sound of her phone buzzing. She'd fallen asleep in the chair, her neck at an angle that would definitely punish her later. Bryant was still unconscious, his breathing even and strong. The sun was just starting to rise, painting the penthouse in shades of gold and pink. The phone buzzed again. Lisa checked the screen. Dr. Kim. Hello. Mrs. Green, I need you to check Bryant's temperature and look at his eyes. If they're showing any gold coloration, call me immediately. Lisa reached over, felt Bryant's forehead. Warm but not feverish. She gently lifted one eyelid and gasped. His eyes were shifting. Brown to gold to brown again, like something inside him was fighting to resurface. They're changing, Lisa said. What does that mean? It means the poison is leaving his system faster than expected. His wolf is trying to re-establish dominance. Dr. Kim's voice was measured, professional. This is good, but it's going to be uncomfortable for him. When he wakes up, he might be disoriented, aggressive. His senses will be hypersensitive as they recalibrate. Don't touch him without warning. Don't make sudden movements. You're saying my husband might attack me when he wakes up. I'm saying your mate's wolf has been suppressed for months and is about to break free. Doesn't be looking for threats, for enemies, for anything that might harm you. Just be careful. The call ended and Lisa sat back, watching Bryant's face. His mate. She was his mate. The reality of it was starting to sink in. Not just the contract marriage, not just the legal arrangement that was supposed to end in a year. An actual, biological, supernatural bond that would tie them together for life. What have we gotten ourselves into? She whispered. Bryant's eyes snapped open. Pure molten gold, no brown at all. And he looked at Lisa like he'd never seen her before. Elizabeth. Her name in his voice sounded different. Deeper. Almost reverent. Bryant. Dr. Kim said you might be disoriented. I can smell you. He sat up slowly, his movements controlled but predatory. 3 months. 3 months you've been right here, and I couldn't smell you. Couldn't feel you. Couldn't sense what should have been obvious. Lisa's heart was pounding. She stayed very still, remembering Dr. Kim's warning. Your senses are coming back. Coming back. They're screaming at me. Bryant's eyes tracked over her like he was memorizing every detail. You smell like jasmine and thunderstorms. Your heartbeat sounds like music. And the mate bond. He pressed a hand to his chest. It's like a symphony I've been deaf to my entire life suddenly playing at full volume. Is that good? It's overwhelming. Bryant swung his legs over the side of the bed, stood. Lisa noticed he was shirtless, noticed the bandages covering his torso, noticed the way his muscles moved under skin that seemed almost luminous in the early light. And it's making my wolf very, very aware that my mate is covered in my blood, smells like fear and gunpowder, and has been sitting 3 feet away from me all night without being properly claimed. Claimed. Marked. Mated. Made mine in ways that leave no doubt to any other wolf who sees you. Bryant's voice had gone rough. My wolf wants to finish what we started in New Jersey. Wants to complete the bond. Wants to. He stopped, jaw clenched, clearly fighting for control. But you're human. And you're scared. And I just woke up from being poisoned, so my judgment is probably compromised. So I'm going to take a very cold shower and give us both some space to think. He moved toward the bathroom, and Lisa should have let him go. Should have appreciated the restraint. Should have been grateful he was giving her time. Instead, she stood and caught his wrist. What if I don't want space? Bryant froze. Turned slowly. His eyes were still gold, still wild, but now there was something else in them. Something heated and dangerous and entirely focused on her. Lisa, you don't know what you're asking. I'm asking for you to stop treating me like I'm fragile. Like I'm going to break if you're honest about what you want. She stepped closer into his space, close enough to feel the heat radiating off his skin. You said your wolf wants to claim me. What do you want, Bryant? The answer was in his eyes before he spoke it. Everything, he said hoarsely. I want everything. Then take it. It wasn't rational. It wasn't careful. It definitely wasn't what Dr. Kim had prescribed for someone recovering from near-fatal poisoning. But when Bryant's mouth crashed down on Lisa's, when his hands tangled in her hair and pulled her against him like he was drowning and she was air, rationality didn't seem particularly important. The kiss was nothing like the gentle brush of lips from earlier. This was claiming and desperation and 3 months of denying what they both felt. This was the mate bond snapping fully into place. No more doubts, no more damaged senses, just pure undeniable connection. Lisa kissed him back with equal fervor, her hands sliding up his chest, careful of his wounds but not so careful that he might think she was fragile. Bryant made a sound low in his throat, half growl, half groan, and suddenly they were moving. He was backing her toward the bed, and every nerve in Lisa's body was singing yes, yes, finally yes. They fell onto the mattress together, and Bryant pulled back just far enough to look at her. Last chance, he said, his voice ragged. Tell me to stop and I will. Tell me you need more time, and I'll give you all the time in the world. But Lisa, if we do this, if I claim you properly, there's no undoing it. You'll be mine. Permanently. In every way that matters. Lisa reached up, cupped his face, looked into those impossible gold eyes. Good, she said. Because you're mine too. And I'm not letting go. The smile that broke across Bryant's face was pure joy. Never, he promised. Never letting go. He kissed her again, slower this time, savoring. And as the sun rose fully over Manhattan, as the mate bond blazed between them like a star being born, Lisa Chen, formerly Elizabeth, formerly scared and alone, formerly convinced she was unlovable, finally understood what it meant to be chosen. Not by fate, not by circumstance, but by someone who'd seen every broken piece of her and decided she was worth fighting for anyway. Worth dying for. Worth living for. And that was worth everything. Chapter 7, Truth Under the Moon. Lisa woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the unfamiliar weight of an arm draped across her waist. For a moment, panic flared. Her body's instinctive response to waking up with someone touching her. Then memory returned in a rush of heat and gold eyes and whispered promises, and the panic dissolved into something softer. Bryant. She turned her head carefully. He was still asleep, his face relaxed in a way she'd never seen during waking hours. The harsh lines of command and control had smoothed out, making him look younger, almost vulnerable. His dark hair was a mess, her fault, she remembered with a flush, and in the morning light, she could see the fading bruises on his chest where Dr. Kim had worked to extract the poison. He'd almost died. The thought made Lisa's throat tight. Less than 24 hours ago, she'd held him while his life bled out onto a dirty pier. Had watched him stop breathing. Had refused to let go even when Dr. Kim had gently suggested she give them room to work. Now he was here, alive. His heartbeat steady under her palm. You're thinking too loud, Bryant murmured without opening his eyes. His arm tightened around her waist. I can literally hear your thoughts spiraling. That's not how mate bonds work, isn't it? Because I'm fairly certain I can feel your anxiety like it's my own. He finally opened his eyes. Still gold, she noticed with a skip of her pulse. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's. Lisa trailed off. How did she explain this? That she was happy and terrified in equal measure. That waking up next to him felt right in a way nothing in her life had ever felt right. But that scared her because good things always ended. Overwhelming. Bryant supplied gently. 'Cause it is for me too. My senses are still recalibrating, which means I can hear your heartbeat, smell what you're feeling, sense every emotional shift like it's my own. It's intense. Can you really smell emotions? Fear smells like copper. Happiness smells like summer rain. Desire smells like... He stopped, a slow smile spreading across his face. Well, let's just say I'm very aware of what you're feeling right now. Lisa felt heat rise to her cheeks. That's not fair. I can't tell what you're feeling. Then let me tell you. Bryant shifted, propping himself up on one elbow so he could look at her properly. I'm feeling grateful that you're alive. Terrified that I almost lost you. Amazed that you chose to stay. And guilty that I pulled you into this world without fully preparing you for what it would mean. You didn't pull me anywhere. I jumped. Lisa reached up, traced the line of his jaw. And I meant what I said last night. I'm not leaving. Even though you now know what I am. What I can do. Especially because of that. Lisa met his eyes steadily. Bryant, I grew up with monsters. Real ones. Human ones. My father used to tell me I was worthless while he broke my ribs. My ex used to whisper that he loved me while he made sure I knew I could never escape. Those men were terrifying because they were unpredictable. Because I never knew when the violence was coming. She paused, gathering her thoughts. But you're violent when you need to be. When someone threatens what's yours. That's not the same thing. That's not monstrous, that's protective. And I've never had anyone protect me before. Never had anyone look at me like I was worth protecting. Her voice dropped to a whisper. So no, I'm not scared of what you are. I'm only scared of losing this. Losing you. Bryant was quiet for a long moment. Then he leaned down and kissed her forehead, gentle and reverent. You're not going to lose me, he said. The mate bond doesn't work that way. We're connected now, Lisa. Permanently. Even if you wanted to leave, which I desperately hope you don't, you'd still feel me. Still know when I was hurt or happy or thinking about you. That sounds invasive. It's intimate. There's a difference. Bryant's thumb brushed across her lower lip. And right now, it's telling me that you're hungry, you need coffee. And you're about 3 seconds away from overthinking yourself into a panic attack about what happens next. I don't. Lisa stopped. He was right. She was spiraling. Okay, maybe a little. Then let's start simple. Breakfast. Shower. Clothes that aren't covered in dried blood. Bryant sat up, wincing slightly as his injuries protested. And then we need to talk about what comes next. Because Dylan might be dead, but his organization isn't. And the Pack Council is going to want answers about why I married a human without consulting them first. The mention of Pack politics made Lisa's stomach clench. Will they accept me? They don't have a choice. You're my mate. That makes you Luna, whether they like it or not. Bryant's voice hardened. But I won't lie to you, it's going to be difficult. The Pack has expectations, traditions, and you're going to be challenged, both directly and indirectly, by wolves who think a human has no place in Pack leadership. Great. Because my life wasn't complicated enough. Hey! Bryant waited until she looked at him. You survived your father. You survived Marcus. You survived rogue werewolves and a contract marriage to New York's most eligible bachelor. You can survive pack politics. You're not eligible anymore. You're married. Best decision I ever made." The sincerity in his voice made Lisa's chest ache. Even if it was for all the wrong reasons initially. They stared at each other, the morning light painting everything in shades of gold and possibility. "I need to tell you something," Lisa said. "About Dylan. About what he said before you arrived at the pier." Bryant's expression darkened. "What did he say?" "He came to my office earlier that day. Told me he was a private investigator looking into the rogue attacks. Showed me photos of other victims, women who'd been killed." Lisa's voice shook slightly at the memory. "He said you'd orchestrated the attack in New Jersey. That you'd wanted to create a mate bond and I was just convenient prey. And you believed him. For about 5 seconds. Then I called Dr. Kim and asked her about Black River. About what happened there." Lisa met Bryant's eyes. "She told me the truth. That you saved an entire pack of non-combatants from being slaughtered. That you took injuries protecting humans who'd been caught in pack territory during the conflict. That the damage to your senses came from you throwing yourself in front of a silver bomb meant for a group of children." Bryant looked away. "Dr. Kim talks too much. She told me you were a hero. That the werewolf community owes you a debt they can never repay." Lisa reached for his hand. "So no, I didn't believe Dylan. But I needed you to know that he tried. That he was working on me, trying to turn me against you. That's what he does." "Did?" Bryant's jaw was tight. "He finds the vulnerability and exploits it. With you it was fear. With me, it was the damaged mate bond and the desperation to find you." He was quiet for a moment. "I should have told you about Black River myself." "Why didn't you?" "Because heroes don't usually survive their own stories. And I didn't want you to think of me that way. As someone noble or self-sacrificing. I wanted you to see me as I actually am. Selfish enough to marry you for my own purposes. Damaged enough to not recognize my own mate for 3 months. Violent enough to kill without hesitation when threatened." "I do see you that way," Lisa said. "All of it. The hero and the killer and the man who was desperate enough to propose a fake marriage to a woman he barely knew." She squeezed his hand. "And I choose all of it. Every complicated, contradictory piece." Bryant pulled her into his arms, holding her like she was something precious. "I don't deserve you," he murmured against her hair. "Good thing fate doesn't care what we deserve." They stayed like that for a long moment, wrapped in each other and the morning light. Then Bryant's stomach growled, loud enough to make them both laugh. "Breakfast," Lisa said firmly. "Before you collapse from hunger and Dr. Kim kills us both for not following her recovery instructions." Practical and beautiful. "I really did win the mate lottery." Lisa swatted his shoulder, but she was smiling as she climbed out of bed. The kitchen smelled like coffee and something burning. "I'm not actually sure what I'm doing wrong," Lisa said, staring at the smoking pan of what was supposed to be scrambled eggs. "I followed the recipe exactly." Bryant leaned against the counter, trying not to laugh. He'd thrown on sweatpants and nothing else, and Lisa was wearing one of his shirts that fell to mid-thigh. Domestic didn't even begin to cover this scene. "You're supposed to use butter, not olive oil. And the heat should be medium, not high." He moved to take over, but Lisa blocked him with a spatula. "You're recovering from poison. Sit down and let me handle this. You're burning my kitchen." "I'm learning. There's a difference." Bryant watched her struggle with the eggs for another minute before his phone rang, shattering the moment. Alexander Green's name flashed on the screen. His father. Bryant considered not answering. Considered pretending he was still too injured for this conversation. But avoiding his father never worked. It only made things worse. "I need to take this," he told Lisa. She nodded, understanding in her eyes. I'll be here. Burning breakfast. Bryant stepped into his office and closed the door. Father, you killed Dylan Reeves. Alexander's voice was weak, but the underlying strength remained. The Pack Council is in an uproar. Half of them are praising you for eliminating a rogue threat. The other half are questioning why you were at Pier 47 without backup, putting yourself at risk mere days after being poisoned. Dylan contacted me claiming to have information about my mate. I went to investigate. And found her, apparently. Dr. Kim tells me your senses are returning. That the bond is fully established. With your human wife. Yes. The council won't accept this, Bryant. A human Luna is unprecedented. Dangerous. It weakens pack cohesion. Opens us to challenges from other territories. I don't care what the council accepts. Bryant's voice went hard. Lisa is my mate. That's not negotiable. If the council has a problem with it, they can challenge me directly. See how that works out for them. You'd go to war with your own pack over a woman you've known for 3 months. Without hesitation. The line was quiet. Then Alexander sighed, and Bryant heard the exhaustion in it. Not just physical, but the bone-deep weariness of someone who'd spent decades navigating pack politics and was tired of the game. Your mother was human, Alexander said quietly. Bryant froze. What? Before she was turned. Before we mated. She was human, and the pack tried to force me to reject her. Told me it was too dangerous, too unprecedented, too much of a risk. Alexander's voice softened. I told them the same thing you just told me. That they could challenge me if they disagreed. None of them did. You never told me that. Because she died when you were young, and I remarried within the pack. It was easier to let everyone forget. Easier to pretend I'd always followed the rules. Alexander coughed, the sound wet and painful. But I remember what it's like, son. To have the bond and have everyone tell you it's wrong. To fight for something the whole world says is impossible. Bryant sat down heavily. Why are you telling me this now? Because I'm dying and I don't want you to make my mistakes. I let the pack dictate too much of my life after your mother passed. Let politics override instinct. Let fear of conflict make me weak. Another cough. Don't do that. Don't let them take away what matters because they're afraid of change. The council will fall in line when you make it clear you won't budge. Alphas lead, Bryant. They don't ask permission. Alexander's voice strengthened slightly. Bring her to the estate this weekend. Let me meet the woman who brought my son back to life. Let the pack see that you're not asking for their approval. You're informing them of reality. You might not approve of her. She's not from our world. Not trained in pack protocols. Neither was your mother. She learned. Alexander's voice went gentle. And from what Dr. Kim tells me, your Lisa has already proven herself braver than half our wolves by facing down Dylan Reeves with nothing but a borrowed gun and determination. That's the kind of Luna this pack needs. Someone who fights, not someone who follows. Bryant felt something in his chest loosen, a tension he hadn't realized he'd been carrying. Thank you, he said quietly. Don't thank me yet. You still have to survive introducing a human to pack dinner. Your Aunt Melissa is going to have opinions, and none of them will be pleasant. Alexander's dry humor came through despite his condition. But I'll be there. And I'll make sure they understand that this isn't a debate. They talked for a few more minutes about Dylan's organization, about the rogues being rounded up, about pack security. Then Alexander's energy flagged, and the call ended with promises to visit soon. Bryant sat in his office processing. His mother had been human. All these years, he'd thought the pack's resistance to human werewolf bonds was absolute, unchangeable, a rule written in stone. But it had been broken before. by his own father. And Bryant had survived. Maybe Lisa could too. He found her in the living room, curled up on the couch with her laptop. The burned eggs had been abandoned in favor of toast and coffee. "Everything okay?" she asked, looking up. "My father wants to meet you. This weekend. At the Pack estate." Lisa's face went carefully neutral. "That's sudden. He's dying. We don't have time for slow introductions." Bryant sat beside her. "But Lisa, I need to prepare you. Pack gatherings aren't like human dinner parties. There will be challenges. Verbal at first, possibly physical if anyone's stupid enough to push it. There will be tests, both overt and subtle. And there will be people who look at you and see weakness, simply because you're human." "Sounds fun." "I'm serious. This could be dangerous. So was marrying you. So was following you to Pier 47. So was everything I've done since I stepped off that bus in Manhattan." Lisa set down her laptop and turned to face him fully. "Bryant, I'm not going to pretend I'm not terrified. But I'm also not going to hide from your world just because it's scary. You said I'm your Luna. Then I need to act like one. You don't have to prove anything to them. Maybe not to them. But I need to prove it to myself." She took a deep breath. "What do I need to know? What are the rules?" Bryant spent the next hour explaining Pack hierarchy, the protocols around challenging and submission, the importance of scent and body language in werewolf culture. Lisa listened intently, asking questions, taking notes like she was studying for a final exam. "The most important thing," Bryant said, "is that you're under my protection. Anyone who harms you answers to me directly. And they know what that means. Death. If necessary." Bryant's voice was matter-of-fact. "The bond between an alpha and his Luna is sacred. Violating it is one of the few offenses that carries an automatic death sentence in Pack law." Lisa was quiet for a moment. "Your world is violent." "Yes. But it's also honest. We don't hide what we are or pretend our nature is something gentler than it is." Bryant reached for her hand. "Does that bother you?" "Honestly, it's easier than the human world I grew up in. At least with werewolves, the danger is obvious. You know who the predators are. You know the rules." Lisa's smile was sad. "With humans, the monsters look like everyone else. They smile while they hurt you. They say they love you while they're destroying you. Not all humans. Enough of them." She squeezed his hand. "Your world might be violent, Bryant, but it's not cruel. There's a difference." They sat together as the morning sun climbed higher, planning and strategizing and slowly, carefully, building something that looked almost like hope. The week passed in a blur of preparation and recovery. Bryant's senses fully returned by Wednesday. His eyes permanently gold now. His enhanced hearing and smell almost overwhelming after months of deprivation. He relearned Lisa's scent, her sounds, the way the mate bond sang between them like a constant song. Lisa, meanwhile, threw herself into learning everything she could about Pack culture. She read books Bryant provided, asked endless questions, practiced the formal greetings and submission gestures until they looked almost natural. And at night, they fell into bed together, learning each other's bodies with the same intensity Lisa applied to everything else. Friday evening they packed for the estate. "What do I wear to meet a dying alpha and his pack?" Lisa stood in front of her closet, overwhelmed. "Something that says you're not intimidated but not trying too hard." Bryant came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist. "You could wear a paper bag and you'd still be the most beautiful woman there. That's sweet and completely unhelpful. Wear the blue dress. The one you wore to the Reynolds merger meeting." Bryant pressed a kiss to her neck. "It makes your eyes impossible to look away from." Lisa pulled out the dress, a simple navy sheath that she'd bought on sale and had always felt slightly too nice for a paralegal. "This one. Perfect." Bryant's arms tightened. Lisa, whatever happens this weekend, whatever the pack says or does, remember that you're mine. And I protect what's mine. I know. And if anyone makes you uncomfortable, if you want to leave at any point, we leave. No questions, no arguments. Bryant. Lisa turned in his arms. I can handle this. I know you can. Doesn't mean I'm not going to worry. They stood together in her closet, wrapped in each other and the approaching storm of pack politics. Tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow, Lisa would step fully into Bryant's world. Tomorrow they would find out if a human could truly become Luna. But tonight they were just Bryant and Lisa. Partners. Two broken people who'd found each other in the dark and decided to build something new in the light. And that, Lisa thought as Bryant led her to bed, was worth fighting for. Worth anything. Chapter 8. The Green Pack Estate sat on 300 acres of woodland in upstate New York, invisible to human eyes thanks to what Bryant called territorial wards. Magic that made outsiders inexplicably decide to take a different route. Lisa pressed her face to the car window as they drove through wrought iron gates that opened on their own. The main house was a sprawling stone mansion that looked like it had been transplanted from the Scottish Highlands, complete with turrets and ancient oak trees. "This is where you grew up?" she asked. "Part of the time. My father also keeps apartments in the city for business." Bryant's hands were tight on the steering wheel. "Lisa, before we go in, there's something you need to know." The seriousness in his tone made her stomach drop. "What?" The Pack Council requested a formal introduction ceremony. It's traditional when an alpha takes a mate. Normally it's just a formality, but given the circumstances. He trailed off. "Given that I'm human. Given that you're human and we married without Pack approval. And Dylan's death has stirred up questions about my judgment." Bryant pulled the car to a stop in front of the house but didn't get out. "The ceremony involves you standing before the council while they question you, test you, try to determine if you're worthy of being Luna. And if they decide I'm not, then they can formally challenge the bond. Request that I reject you and choose someone more suitable." Bryant's voice went hard. "Which I won't do, but the challenge itself would be unpleasant." Lisa's hands clenched in her lap. "What kind of unpleasant?" "Physical tests. Demonstrations of strength, will, endurance. They try to break you, Lisa. To prove you're not strong enough for this life." Bryant turned to face her. "I can refuse the ceremony. Tell them the bond is established and their approval is irrelevant. But that would start my leadership with open defiance. And it would make everything harder for you long term. So we do the ceremony and let them test me. You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Lisa met his eyes. "If I refuse, they'll always see me as weak. As someone hiding behind your protection. And if I'm going to be your Luna, I need them to respect me. Or at least fear me a little." Bryant's expression was torn between pride and concern. "They're going to hurt you. I've been hurt before. I survived." Lisa reached for his hand. "And this time I'll have you there. That makes all the difference." They got out of the car. Immediately, Lisa felt eyes on her. From the windows, from the shadows of the trees, from everywhere and nowhere at once. Pack was watching. The front door opened before they reached it. A woman stood in the doorway. Late 50s, elegant, with steel-gray hair and eyes that assessed Lisa like a general planning a siege. "Aunt Melissa," Bryant said. "I wasn't expecting you to greet us personally. I wanted to meet the human who ensnared my nephew before she faces the council." Melissa's smile was polite and cold. "Elizabeth, is it? Or do you prefer Lisa?" "Lisa is fine." "How democratic. Please come in. Your father is waiting in the library, Bryant. And the council has assembled in the great hall for the ceremony." Melissa's gaze raked over Lisa's dress, her shoes, her carefully styled hair. "I do hope you're prepared, dear. Pack ceremonies can be quite intense for outsiders. I'm sure I'll manage. We'll see. The interior of the house was all dark wood and oil paintings of stern-looking wolves. Lisa counted at least a dozen people, pack members, watching from doorways and staircases as Bryant led her deeper into the house. That went well, Lisa muttered. Melissa's bark is worse than her bite. Usually. Bryant kept his hand on the small of her back, a constant reminder of his presence. My father first, then the ceremony. Are you ready? No. But let's do it anyway. Alexander Green's library was a cathedral of books and leather and dying light. The Alpha himself sat in a high-backed chair near the fireplace, looking smaller than Lisa had imagined. Cancer had ravaged him, leaving behind a skeleton wrapped in skin and indomitable will. But his eyes, the same gold as Bryant's, were sharp and assessing as Lisa entered. So, Alexander said, his voice surprisingly strong, you're the one who brought my son back from the dead. Lisa wasn't sure how to respond to that. She settled for honesty. He saved me first. I was just returning the favor. Alexander's laugh turned into a cough. When he recovered, he gestured to the chair across from him. Sit. Bryant, give us a moment. Father, I'm not going to eat her, though I appreciate your protective instincts. Alexander's smile was knowing. Go. Check on the council preparations. Lisa and I need to talk. Bryant looked at Lisa, a question in his eyes. She nodded, and reluctantly he left. The silence stretched as Alexander studied her. Lisa forced herself to meet his gaze, to not fidget, to project a confidence she didn't entirely feel. You're younger than I expected, Alexander said finally. And you carry yourself like someone who's been broken and put back together wrong. Is that a compliment? It's an observation. Pack life requires strength, Lisa. Not the physical kind, we have plenty of that. The kind that comes from surviving things that should have destroyed you and choosing to keep going anyway. He leaned forward. My son tells me you survived an abusive father and an equally abusive partner. That you rebuilt your life from nothing in a city that eats people like you for breakfast. Is that true? Yes, sir. Then you have the first qualification for being Luna. Resilience. Alexander sat back. But resilience alone won't be enough. You'll need to command respect from wolves who've spent their entire lives in pack hierarchy. You'll need to make decisions that could mean life or death for people under your protection. And you'll need to stand beside Bryant when his leadership is challenged. And it will be challenged, especially now. Because of me. Because of many things. But yes, your humanity will be used against him. Against both of you. Alexander's expression softened slightly. I told Bryant about his mother. About her being human. Did he tell you? Yes. Then you know it's possible. Difficult but possible. Alexander was quiet for a moment. She was remarkable, Lisa. Strong in ways that had nothing to do with claws or fangs. She faced down pack challenges with nothing but her conviction and her refusal to be intimidated. The pack learned to love her for it. How long did that take? Years. And she had advantages you don't. She was turned within the first year of their mating, which gave her physical equality with the pack. You'll remain human unless you choose otherwise, which means you'll always be physically weaker. Always vulnerable in ways a werewolf Luna wouldn't be. Lisa swallowed. Bryant mentioned that turning is an option. Eventually. Is it what you want? I don't know yet. Everything's happened so fast. 3 months ago I was running from my ex. Now I'm about to face a pack council who'll probably decide I'm not good enough for their alpha. Lisa met Alexander's eyes. One thing at a time, I guess. Alexander smiled, genuine this time. I see why he chose you. Or why fate chose you for him, same difference. He stood with effort, using a cane Lisa hadn't noticed before. A piece of advice for the ceremony. They'll try to make you submit. To bow, to show throat, to acknowledge their dominance. Don't do it. You're Luna. Even if you have to fake the confidence, even if you're terrified, stand tall. Make them acknowledge you first. That seems like a good way to get challenged. It's the only way to earn respect. Submission from a Luna suggests weakness in her alpha. And Bryant can't afford that perception right now. Alexander moved toward the door. Come. Let's show them what a human Luna looks like. The Great Hall was exactly what it sounded like. A massive chamber with vaulted ceilings, stone floors, and a semicircle of chairs where the Pack Council sat in judgment. 15 pairs of eyes tracked Lisa as she entered. 15 wolves, ranging from young adults to ancient elders, all radiating power and barely concealed hostility. Bryant stood to the side. His expression carefully neutral but his eyes burning gold. He'd changed into formal clothes. Dark slacks, a white shirt, no tie. Alpha casual, Lisa thought hysterically. Elizabeth Chen. The voice came from the center seat. A woman who looked to be in her 40s, with dark hair shot through with silver and an air of authority that rivaled Bryant's. You stand before the Green Pack Council to be evaluated as potential Luna. Do you understand the gravity of this ceremony? I do. Lisa's voice came out stronger than she felt. I am Clara Winters, council leader. These are your judges. Clara gestured to the assembled wolves. We will ask questions. You will answer truthfully. We will conduct tests. You will submit to them. If you are found worthy, the pack will acknowledge your bond to Alpha Green. If you are found lacking, we will recommend formal rejection of the mate bond. Recommend. Bryant's voice cut through. The bond is established. This ceremony is a courtesy, not a requirement. A courtesy the pack expects to see honored, Alpha Green. Unless you wish to openly defy council tradition. Clara's smile was sharp. We're simply following protocol. I'm sure your mate has nothing to fear if she's truly suitable. It was a trap and they both knew it. Refuse and Bryant looked like a tyrant. Accept and Lisa faced whatever tortures the council had planned. I'll submit to your questions and tests, Lisa said before Bryant could respond. But I want to be clear, I'm here as a courtesy. Not because I need your permission to be Bryant's mate. That choice was made by fate and confirmed by both of us. Your job is to acknowledge that reality, not to approve it. The silence that followed was absolute. Then Clara laughed, a sharp, surprised sound. Bold. Foolish but bold. Very well, human. Let's see if you can back up that confidence. She nodded to one of the younger council members. Thomas. First question. Thomas stood, tall, muscular, with a kind of aggressive energy that made Lisa think of a barely leashed dog. What do you know about pack law? I know it's based on hierarchy and strength. I know alphas lead through demonstrated dominance. I know challenges can be issued for pack position, territory disputes, or mate bonds. I know silver is poison. The full moon enhances wolf abilities. And humans who know about werewolves are either turned, mated, or killed to preserve the secret. And which category do you fall into? Mated. Obviously. Another council member spoke. An older man with scars across his face. What would you do if a pack member challenged your authority as Luna? Depends on the nature of the challenge. Verbal. I'd address it directly. Physical. I'd defend myself or accept Bryant's protection, depending on pack law regarding Luna challenges. Lisa kept her voice level. But I wouldn't back down. And I wouldn't apologize for being human. Even if your humanity makes the pack vulnerable. This from a woman who looked barely 20. Even if it invites challenges from other territories who see a human Luna as weakness. Then we'll handle those challenges as they come. Together. Lisa looked at Bryant, then back to the council. I didn't ask to be mated to an alpha. I didn't ask to become Luna. But now that I am, I'm not going to apologize for it or pretend to be something I'm not. You get me as I am, human, flawed, learning. Or you get nothing. Brave words, Clara said. Now let's see if you can back them up. The second part of the ceremony is a test of will. You'll face a dominant wolf and maintain your ground without submitting. Without using your mate bond for strength. Just you and your conviction. Who's the wolf? Clara smiled. Me. Bryant moved. Absolutely not. Clara's dominance could. Could what? Break a weak human. Then perhaps this human isn't suited to be Luna. Clara stood, and the temperature in the room seemed to drop. Unless you're saying your mate can't handle a simple dominance display, Alpha Green. Lisa stepped forward before Bryant could argue further. I can handle it. Lisa. I can handle it, she repeated, looking at him. Trust me. The doubt in Bryant's eyes hurt, but she understood it. He'd seen what alpha dominance could do to humans. The instinctive, overwhelming compulsion to submit that could break someone's will entirely. But Lisa had survived her father's dominance for 18 years. Had survived Marcus's controlling rage. Had learned to build walls around her mind, to protect the core of herself from people who wanted to break her. This was just another bully. Another test. Another thing to survive. Stand there. Clara pointed to a spot in the center of the hall. Don't move. Don't look away. Don't submit. Last as long as you can. Lisa moved to the designated spot. The council formed a circle around her, watching like spectators at a gladiator match. Clara approached slowly, deliberately. With each step the pressure increased. It started as a weight in the air, then became a physical force pressing down on Lisa's shoulders, demanding she kneel, bow, expose her throat in acknowledgement of superior power. Submit, the pressure whispered. Submit and this ends. Submit and the pain stops. Lisa locked her knees and met Clara's eyes. The pressure increased. It felt like gravity had tripled, like the air itself was crushing her. Lisa's legs shook. Sweat broke out across her forehead. Every instinct screamed at her to drop, to give in, to make it stop. But she'd felt this before. Different source, same intent. Her father looming over her, his fist raised, demanding she apologize for existing. Marcus backing her into corners, his voice soft and dangerous, demanding she admit she was nothing without him. This was just power, just dominance. And Lisa had learned long ago that submission was a choice. She chose to stand. Minutes passed. Or hours. Time became elastic under the weight of Clara's dominance. Lisa's vision narrowed. Her breathing went ragged. Blood dripped from her nose. She'd bitten her lip, tasted copper. But she didn't move. Didn't kneel. Didn't submit. Enough. Bryant's voice cut through, sharp with command. She's proven herself. End this. Has she? Clara didn't break eye contact with Lisa. She's still standing but barely. One more minute and she'll. I said enough. Bryant's alpha command rolled through the hall like thunder. Every wolf in the room flinched. Except Clara, who finally smiled and stepped back. The pressure released. Lisa's legs gave out. She hit the floor hard, gasping, her whole body shaking with the effort of staying conscious. Bryant was there instantly, gathering her into his arms. His voice low and furious as he spoke to Clara. You pushed too far. I pushed exactly as far as necessary. She didn't submit, Bryant. A human faced down a council leader's dominance and didn't break. Clara's expression was thoughtful. That's unexpected. Lisa forced herself to look up, to meet Clara's eyes even though every muscle in her body was screaming. Is that a pass? Clara stared at her for a long moment. Then she turned to the assembled council. All in favor of acknowledging Elizabeth Chen as Luna of the Green Pack? Slowly, one by one, hands raised. Not all of them. Lisa counted at least 4 council members who kept their hands down, their expressions hostile. But the majority voted yes. Then it's decided. Clara's voice carried through the hall. Elizabeth Chen is recognized as Luna. May she serve the pack with strength and wisdom. Pause. And may she forgive me for that particular test. I had to know if you'd break. And Lisa's voice was hoarse. And I'm satisfied. Clara actually smiled, warm this time. Welcome to the pack, Luna. Try not to get yourself killed in the first month. It would reflect poorly on all of us. The celebration dinner was torture of a different kind. Lisa sat at the head table beside Bryant, still shaking from the ceremony, trying to eat food she couldn't taste while dozens of pack members stared and whispered. Some approached to offer congratulations, genuine or otherwise. Others kept their distance, their hostility obvious. You did well, Alexander said from Lisa's other side. Better than your mother's first ceremony, if I'm honest. She actually passed out halfway through the dominance test. That's comforting, Lisa managed. It should be. She became one of the strongest Lunas this pack has ever seen. I suspect you'll do the same. Alexander raised his glass. To the new Luna. May she be exactly what this pack deserves. The toast was echoed around the hall, though Lisa noticed the 4 dissenters from the vote remained silent. Bryant's hand found hers under the table, squeezed gently. We can leave whenever you want. And look weak. No thanks. Lisa forced herself to sit up straighter, to smile at a pack member who approached with questions. I can survive a dinner party. She did, but barely. By the time they escaped to the guest room Bryant kept at the estate, Lisa's reserves were completely depleted. She collapsed onto the bed without even removing her shoes. I have to do this every day, she said to the ceiling. That was one ceremony and I feel like I've been hit by a truck. Bryant sat beside her, carefully removing her shoes. You don't have to do anything you don't want to. We can live separately from the pack. Visit only when necessary. No. Lisa sat up. No, if I'm going to be Luna, I'm going to do it properly. I need time to adjust. You have time. The pack isn't going anywhere. Lisa laughed, slightly hysterical. Your Aunt Melissa looked like she wanted to eat me for dinner. Melissa always looks like that. It's her resting face. Bryant pulled Lisa into his arms. You were incredible today. Standing up to Clara like that. Even seasoned pack members don't challenge her dominance. I wasn't challenging. I was surviving. There's a difference. Not to the pack. They saw strength. Conviction. Exactly what a Luna should have. Bryant pressed a kiss to her temple. I'm proud of you. The words made something in Lisa's chest crack open. When was the last time anyone had been proud of her? When had she ever done something worth being proud of? Thank you, she whispered. They sat together in the quiet, the sounds of the celebration continuing downstairs. Tomorrow they'd return to Manhattan. Tomorrow normal life would resume, or whatever passed for normal when you were mated to an alpha werewolf and serving as Luna to a pack of supernatural beings. But tonight they had this. Each other. The knowledge that they'd survived the first real test of their bond. Lisa was drifting toward sleep when Bryant's phone rang. He checked it, frowned. It's Dr. Kim. Midnight. That's not good. He answered, and Lisa watched his expression shift from confusion to disbelief to something that looked almost like horror. What? She asked when he hung up. What's wrong? Bryant was quiet for a long moment. The mate bond, he said finally. Dr. Kim just received lab results from a secondary test she ran. A test to verify the initial results. And there's a problem. Bryant met her eyes. The bond that formed between us, it's real. But it's incomplete. Like something interrupted the process before it could fully establish. What does that mean? It means we need to complete a formal rejection and reacceptance ceremony. The bond as it exists now is unstable. It could collapse at any time, or worse, it could kill us both if one of us dies while it's in this half-formed state. Lisa's blood went cold. When do we do this ceremony? Tomorrow night. Full moon. It's the only time the bond can be properly severed and reformed. Bryant's jaw was tight. But Lisa, you need to understand, a rejection ceremony, even one intended to be temporary, is agonizing. Feels like having your soul torn in half. And there's always a risk that the reacceptance won't take. That the bond will reject one or both of us. What happens then? Then we're not mates. Can never be mates. The bond burns out completely and we... He trailed off. We what? We become strangers. Literally. The bond takes all the feelings, all the connection, and erases it. We'd look at each other and feel nothing. Lisa thought about that. About looking at Bryant and feeling nothing. About losing this connection that had become as essential as breathing. That's not going to happen, she said firmly. You can't know that. Yes, I can. Because fate didn't bring us together just to rip us apart. Lisa cupped his face. We'll do the ceremony. We'll complete the bond properly. And we'll come out the other side stronger. Bryant kissed her, desperate and searching. I can't lose you. You won't. I promise. It was a promise she had no way of keeping. But she said it anyway because sometimes faith was all you had. And tomorrow night, under the full moon, they would find out if their faith was enough. The full moon rose over Manhattan like a silver omen. Lisa stood in the penthouse, watching the city lights blur into streams of gold and white, and tried to calm the panic clawing at her throat. In 3 hours, she and Bryant would stand before Dr. Kim and the Pack Council to perform the rejection ceremony. In 3 hours, the bond that had become her lifeline would be deliberately severed. And there was no guarantee they'd be able to rebuild it. You're spiraling again. Bryant appeared behind her. His reflection joining hers in the window. I can feel it through the bond. How long until we can't feel each other anymore? A few hours after the rejection completes. The bond fades gradually, takes the emotions with it. His voice was carefully controlled, but Lisa heard the fear underneath. Dr. Kim says it's like losing a limb. You remember it was there, but the sensation is gone. That's comforting. None of this is comforting. Bryant turned her to face him. Lisa, if you want to stop this, if the risk is too high, we can refuse. Live with the incomplete bond and hope it stabilizes on its own. Dr. Kim said that could kill us. She said it's unstable. Not that it's guaranteed fatal. Bryant's hands framed her face. I won't lose you to some ceremony that's supposed to help us. If there's any doubt, any at all, we stop. Lisa wanted to agree. Wanted to take the easy path, the safe path. But she'd learned years ago that safety was an illusion, and easy paths usually led straight into traps. We do the ceremony, she said. We fix this properly. And then we never have to question whether our bond is real or just some half-formed cosmic accident. Bryant looked like he wanted to argue, but his phone buzzed before he could. He checked it, and his expression darkened. What now? Jessie Park just filed a formal complaint with the Pack Council. She's claiming I coerced you into the mate bond. That the marriage was fraudulent from the start and should be annulled. Bryant's voice was tight with fury. She's demanding a full investigation and requesting temporary suspension of your Luna status pending the outcome. Can she do that? She can file anything she wants. Whether the council acts on it is another question. Bryant was already texting, his fingers flying across the screen. But the timing is suspicious. Filing this the day before our bond ceremony. She's either incredibly stupid or working with someone. Lisa thought about Jessie. The hostile glares, the whispered comments, the way she'd made every day at the office miserable. She hates me. Has since the wedding was announced. This is more than hate. This is coordinated. Bryant's phone rang. He answered, listened, and his expression went from dark to murderous. When? How many? Secure the building. I'm on my way. He hung up and turned to Lisa. Dylan's organization. They're not as defunct as we thought. A group of rogues just attacked the law firm. Lisa's blood turned to ice. Is anyone hurt? Minor injuries. Security contained them before they reached the executive floors. But Lisa. Bryant hesitated. They were asking for you specifically. Calling you by name. Demanding we turn over the false Luna. Or they'd burn the building down. The fear that had been simmering in Lisa's gut exploded into full panic. This is because of me. Because I'm human and weak and... Stop! Bryant's command cut through her spiral. This is because Dylan's followers are desperate and stupid and think they can leverage you to get to me. It has nothing to do with your worth as Luna. Then why target me? Because you're what I love most in this world, and they know it. Bryant pulled her close. Which means I need to get you somewhere safe while I handle this. No. Absolutely not. I'm not hiding while you... Lisa, these are trained rogues. Dangerous, violent, and specifically hunting you. I can't fight them and protect you at the same time. Then don't protect me. Teach me to protect myself. Lisa pulled back to meet his eyes. I can't be Luna if I run every time there's danger. The pack already barely accepts me. If I hide now, they'll never respect me. I don't care about their respect. I care about you being alive. And I care about being worth the title you've given me. Lisa's voice rose. Bryant, I've spent my entire life being protected by men who used that protection as a cage. I won't do it again. Not even for you. They stared at each other, the mate bond crackling between them with unresolved tension. Bryant's phone buzzed again. He checked it, swore viciously. They're at the building. Demanding to speak with me directly. If I don't show in 20 minutes, they start killing hostages. He looked at Lisa. I have to go. Stay here. Don't open the door for anyone except Dr. Kim or someone from my pack. Promise me. I promise, Lisa lied. Bryant kissed her, hard, desperate, tasting like goodbye, and left. The moment the elevator doors closed, Lisa was moving. She found what she needed in Bryant's study. Addresses, contact information, pack emergency protocols. And a gun. Smaller than the one she'd used at Pier 47. But Jessica had given her a 5-minute tutorial on how to use firearms, and Lisa was a fast learner. She also found a letter. It was addressed to her, in handwriting she didn't recognize, tucked inside a folder marked Luna Protocols. Lisa opened it with shaking hands. Elizabeth, by the time you read this, you'll know the bond is incomplete. You'll know about the rejection ceremony. What you don't know is why. Dylan didn't act alone. He had a partner inside the pack. Someone who's been working to destabilize Bryant's leadership for years. Someone who wanted the bond to fail, wanted you to be vulnerable, wanted Bryant desperate enough to make mistakes. That someone is Jessie Park, Beta Wolf, Dylan's secret mate. And the one who's been poisoning Bryant since before you ever met him. She knows about tonight's ceremony. She knows the bond will be at its weakest during the rejection phase. And she's planned an attack designed to kill you while Bryant is helpless to intervene. I'm sorry I can't help you directly. My position on the council makes it impossible to act without proof. But you deserve to know the truth. Trust no one. Especially not the wolves who claim to be protecting you. C.W. Clara Winters. The council leader who'd nearly broken Lisa during the dominance test was now warning her about an assassination attempt. Lisa read the letter 3 more times, her mind racing. Jesse was Dylan's mate. Jesse had been poisoning Bryant. Jesse was planning to kill her tonight. And Bryant had just walked into a trap. Lisa grabbed the gun, her phone, and Bryant's car keys. She had maybe 10 minutes before Dr. Kim arrived for the ceremony preparations. 10 minutes to get to the law firm and warn Bryant before Jesse's plan succeeded. She made it to the elevator before her phone rang. Unknown number. Lisa almost didn't answer. But something made her pick up. Elizabeth Chen. The voice was female, cold, familiar. Jesse. What do you want? I want you to listen very carefully. Your mate is currently surrounded by 15 rogue wolves who will tear him apart the moment I give the word. The only thing keeping him alive is the possibility of a trade. What kind of trade? You for him. Come to Pier 47. Yes, the same place Dylan died, poetic isn't it? And I'll let Bryant live. Refuse, and I'll make sure you feel every moment of his death through your incomplete bond before I hunt you down and finish you myself. Lisa's hand tightened on the phone. You're Dylan's mate. Was. Until your precious alpha killed him and left me with half a bond and a burning need for vengeance. Jesse's voice was pure venom. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to come alone, unarmed. And you're going to submit to pack judgment for the crime of corrupting an alpha and weakening the Green Pack through your human inadequacy. And if I do this, you'll let Bryant go. I'll let him watch you die, then I'll kill him too. But at least you'll be together. Jesse laughed. You have 30 minutes. Every minute you're late, I remove one of Bryant's fingers. Don't test me. The line went dead. Lisa stood in the elevator, her heart hammering, her mind calculating odds and outcomes. Jesse was lying. Obviously. She had no intention of letting either of them survive. This was about revenge and power and eliminating everyone who stood between her and control of the Green Pack. But she also had Bryant. And Lisa wouldn't let him die. The elevator doors opened. Dr. Kim stood in the hallway, her medical bag in hand, her expression concerned. Lisa, we need to start preparations for the ceremony. Where's Bryant? He's in trouble. Jesse Park has him surrounded by rogues at the law firm. She wants me to trade myself for him at Pier 47 in 30 minutes. Lisa pushed past Dr. Kim toward the door. I need you to contact the pack. Tell them what's happening. Tell them to converge on the pier. Absolutely not. You're walking into an obvious trap. I know. That's why I need backup. Lisa checked the gun, made sure the safety was off. But I'm going regardless. So you can either help me or get out of my way. Dr. Kim stared at her for a long moment. Then she pulled out her phone. I'm calling Clara. And Alexander. And every pack wolf within 100 miles. She met Lisa's eyes. But you need to understand, even with backup, the odds of you surviving this are slim. Jesse has been planning this for months. She'll have contingencies, traps, ways to ensure you die even if the pack intervenes. Then I'll just have to be smarter than her contingencies. Lisa headed for the door. Tell them to hurry. And tell them if I die, make sure Jesse follows me. I don't want Bryant living with the guilt of my death and her survival. Lisa. Just do it. Please. Lisa left before Dr. Kim could argue further. Pier 47 looked exactly the same as it had the night Dylan died. Rotting wood, industrial decay, shadows that moved wrong. Except this time, the shadows were full of wolves. Lisa counted at least 20 as she approached, their eyes gleaming in the moonlight, their forms shifting between human and beast. Jesse stood at the center, wearing designer clothes and a smile that promised pain. You came. How delightfully stupid. Jesse gestured, and 2 wolves dragged Bryant forward. He was beaten badly, blood streaming from a cut above his eye. His hands bound with silver chains that burned his skin. His shirt torn to reveal more injuries. But his eyes were pure gold and locked on Lisa with an intensity that made her breath catch. "Lisa, run." His voice was hoarse. "It's a trap. The firm was a distraction. She's been planning." One of the wolves hit him, hard enough to snap his head back. Lisa's hand tightened on the gun hidden in her jacket. "As touching as this reunion is, we have business to conduct." Jesse moved closer to Lisa, predatory and confident. "Here's how this works. You're going to get on your knees. You're going to expose your throat. And you're going to beg for the mercy of a quick death. Do that, and I'll make Bryant's death fast. Refuse, and I'll make you watch while I peel his skin off inch by inch." "Or," Lisa said calmly, "I could just shoot you." She pulled the gun in one smooth motion, aimed directly at Jesse's head. The wolves around them tensed, but Jesse just laughed. "Please. You think a bullet will stop me? I'm a beta wolf. I heal from gunshot wounds in minutes." "Good to know." Lisa shifted her aim slightly and fired. Not at Jesse. At the silver chains binding Bryant's hands. The bullet struck the lock mechanism and the chains fell away. Bryant moved immediately, shifting mid-lunge into a massive silver-black wolf that crashed into the rogues, holding him with savage efficiency. Chaos erupted. Wolves shifted and attacked. Lisa dove behind a support beam as claws and fangs filled the air around her. She fired twice more, aiming for knees and shoulders. Not kill shots, but enough to slow the rogues down. Then Jesse was on her. The beta wolf moved faster than humanly possible, crossing the distance in a blur. She grabbed Lisa by the throat and slammed her against a post hard enough to crack wood. Clever. But not clever enough. Jesse's hand tightened, cutting off Lisa's air. "Did you really think you could outsmart me? I've been playing this game since before you were born." Lisa couldn't breathe, couldn't speak. Her vision was starting to gray at the edges. The gun had fallen from her hand, too far to reach. Through the haze she saw Bryant fighting. 3 rogues had him pinned, more joining the pile. He was outnumbered, weakened from the earlier beating, and Lisa could feel his desperation through the bond. This was it. They were going to die here. Then headlights flooded the pier. Cars screeched to a stop. 5, 6, 7 of them. Doors flew open and wolves poured out. Clara Winters led them, her face set in grim determination. Behind her came Alexander Green, leaning heavily on a cane but with his alpha dominance rolling off him in waves. And behind them the entire pack council. Jesse's hand loosened in shock. "How did you? You really thought Clara wouldn't notice you've been embezzling pack funds to finance Dylan's rogue operations?" Alexander's voice was weak, but his words hit like hammers. "You thought we wouldn't discover the poison in Bryant's medical records matched chemicals from your private lab? You have no proof. We have everything. Emails, bank transfers, testimony from 3 of Dylan's surviving followers who decided cooperation was preferable to execution." Clara's smile was cold. "You're finished, Jesse. The only question now is whether you die quickly or slowly." Jesse's expression twisted into pure hatred. Her hand tightened on Lisa's throat again, and this time Lisa felt something crack. "Then I'll take her with me." Bryant's roar shook the pier. He threw off the rogues holding him and charged, but he was too far away, too slow, and Lisa could see him realize he wouldn't make it in time. A gunshot rang out. Jesse jerked, looked down at the blood blooming across her chest, looked up at Lisa with confusion. Lisa held the small backup gun she'd taken from Bryant's desk, the one she'd hidden in her boot, the one she'd pulled while Jesse was monologuing. "That's for poisoning my mate," Lisa said, her voice a rasp through her damaged throat. She fired again. "That's for Dylan." Again. "And that's for thinking I'd die without fighting back." Jessie fell, shifting back to human as she hit the ground. The silver bullets. Lisa had replaced the regular ammunition with silver rounds from Bryant's supply, burned through her system, preventing healing. She'd be dead in minutes. Lisa dropped the gun and collapsed. Bryant caught her before she hit the ground, shifting back to human. His hands gentle despite the urgency. Lisa, stay with me. Dr. Kim. His voice broke. Someone help her. Dr. Kim was already there, already checking Lisa's throat, already pulling out supplies. Crushed trachea. Possible internal bleeding. We need to get her to the estate immediately. The ceremony. Lisa could barely whisper. We're supposed to. The ceremony can wait. You can't. Bryant lifted her carefully. I've got you, and I'm not letting go. Lisa wanted to tell him she knew. Wanted to tell him she loved him. Had loved him since the moment she'd bitten a silver wolf in a dark alley and felt something fundamental shift in her universe. But consciousness was fading, pulled under by pain and blood loss and the knowledge that she'd survived. They'd both survived. And that was enough. Lisa woke up 3 days later in a bedroom at the Green Pack estate. Her throat was bandaged. Her body ached in ways that suggested significant healing had occurred while she was unconscious. And Bryant was asleep in a chair beside her bed. His hand wrapped around hers. His face haggard with exhaustion. You look terrible, she whispered. His eyes snapped open, gold, always gold now. You're awake. Thank God you're awake. He was on the bed immediately, gathering her into his arms with a gentleness that belied his strength. I thought I'd lost you. When I saw you fall. I'm okay. We're okay. Lisa pulled back to look at him. What happened? How long was I? 3 days. Dr. Kim had to perform emergency surgery to repair your trachea. You coded twice during the procedure. Bryant's voice shook. And I couldn't do anything except wait and feel the bond flickering like a candle about to go out. But it didn't go out. No. Stabilized. Dr. Kim thinks your near-death experience somehow completed the bond that the ceremony was supposed to finish. The trauma forced it to either fully form or break completely, and it chose to form. Bryant pressed his forehead to hers. You're officially, completely, irrevocably my mate now. No ceremony needed. That's one way to do it. They sat together in the quiet, just breathing, just being alive. Jessie? Lisa asked finally. Dead. The silver bullets prevented healing. She was gone before the ambulance arrived. Bryant's expression was grim. The council is still working through her network, finding all the rogues she'd been funding. It's going to take months to clean up the mess. And the pack. Do they still accept me as Luna after everything? Lisa. Bryant waited until she met his eyes. You took down a beta wolf with 3 bullets and refused to submit even when she was crushing your throat. You walked into a trap to save me. You proved you'd die for this pack. He smiled, tired but genuine. They don't just accept you. They're starting to respect you. Clara's already talking about putting you on the council. I can barely speak. How am I supposed to serve on a council? You'll heal. And when you do, you're going to be the most terrifying Luna this pack has ever seen. Bryant kissed her gently. My money's on you making Clara look soft by comparison. Lisa laughed, then winced as her throat protested. Don't make me laugh. It hurts. Sorry. I'll save the jokes for when you're healed. Bryant settled beside her on the bed, careful of her injuries. Sleep. I'll be right here. Promise. Always. Lisa closed her eyes, feeling the mate bond humming between them. Complete now, solid, unbreakable. They'd survived Dylan and Jessie and pack politics and near-death experiences. Whatever came next, they'd face it together. Luna and Alpha. Forever. Chapter 10, The Heir of the Moon. 6 months later. Lisa stood in front of the floor-to-ceiling windows of the penthouse, watching the sun rise over Manhattan, and tried to remember what her life had been like before Bryant Green had crashed into it like a silver wolf in the darkness. She couldn't. The terrified girl who'd fled New Jersey felt like someone from another lifetime. Someone smaller, quieter, content to survive rather than live. Now, Lisa Chen Green, Luna of the Green Pack, partner at Chen and Associates after Bryant had insisted on making her an equity holder, and the woman who'd taken down a rogue conspiracy, barely recognized her former self. "You're up early." Bryant's arms wrapped around her from behind, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Couldn't sleep. Too much on my mind." Lisa leaned back into his warmth. "The Pack Council meeting is today. Clara wants to discuss territorial expansion into Connecticut, and you know how Alexander feels about that. My father will argue against it on principle, Clara will cite 15 precedents for why it's necessary, and they'll debate for 3 hours before reaching the same conclusion they always do, that we'll revisit the issue next quarter." Bryant pressed a kiss to her neck. "Standard council business. Nothing to stress about." "I'm not stressed. I'm—" Lisa trailed off, searching for the right word. "Nauseous." Bryant's voice took on a knowing tone. "Because you've been nauseous every morning for the past 2 weeks. And your scent has been changing. And you've been craving weird food combinations that make my wolf very, very interested." Lisa's heart stopped. "You think I'm pregnant?" "Yes." Bryant turned her to face him, his eyes bright gold and impossibly tender. "I've known for about a week, but I wanted to wait for you to figure it out on your own. Didn't want to pressure you or make assumptions about what you'd want to do." "A week? You've known for a week and didn't say anything. It's your body choice. I figured you'd tell me when you were ready." Bryant's hand came up to cup her face. "Are you okay? Is this something you want?" Lisa's mind was spinning. Pregnant. She was pregnant with a werewolf alpha's child, and she hadn't even realized it. Hadn't noticed the signs because she'd been so focused on pack business and law firm politics and learning how to be Luna. "I don't know," she said honestly. "I mean, we've only been together, properly together, for 6 months. We're still figuring out how to be mates. And a baby. That's terrifying. Overwhelming. Possibly the worst timing imaginable." Bryant smiled. "All of the above. But also maybe the best thing that could happen to us." "How can you say that?" "We're not ready." "I'm not ready. I can barely handle pack politics. And you're talking about adding a child to the mix." "Lisa." Bryant waited until she met his eyes. "Breathe. You're spiraling." She was. Lisa forced herself to take a deep breath, then another. The panic receded slightly, enough for her to think clearly. "What does this mean?" she asked. "For the baby. If I am pregnant, what does it mean that the father is a werewolf and the mother is human? Dr. Kim can explain it better than I can, but the short version? The child will likely be a wolf. Might manifest abilities early, might not show signs until puberty. Either way, they'll need to be raised understanding both worlds, human and pack." Bryant's expression turned serious. "And they'll be my heir. The next alpha of the Green Pack, assuming they inherit the dominance markers. Which means they'll be a target from the moment they're born." "Oh good. Because my life wasn't dangerous enough already. I won't let anything happen to either of you. You know that." Bryant's voice hardened with protective fury. "Anyone who threatens my mate or my child answers to me directly. And they know what that means." Lisa did know. She'd seen Bryant in full alpha mode enough times to understand exactly how terrifying he could be when protecting what was his. "I need to take a test," she said. "A real one. Before we make any plans or tell anyone or—" "Already done. Dr. Kim came by yesterday while you were at the office. Ran blood work under the guise of a routine pack health screening." Bryant pulled out his phone, showed her a message. Results came back this morning. Congratulations, Luna. You're approximately 8 weeks pregnant. 8 weeks. Lisa did the math. That meant she'd conceived right around the time of the Jesse Park incident. Right around the time the mate bond had fully solidified. Right around the time she'd almost died and decided that surviving meant choosing to live fully, completely, without holding anything back. I'm going to be a mother, she whispered. And I'm going to be a father. Bryant's smile was incandescent. I'm going to be a father. We're going to have a baby. His voice broke. I never thought I'd have this. After my senses were damaged, after I thought I'd never find my mate, I resigned myself to a political mating and a leadership without love. And now I have you. And we're going to have a child. And Lisa kissed him before he could say anything else. Poured everything she felt, terror and joy and overwhelming love, into that kiss until they were both breathless. We're going to be parents, she said when they finally broke apart. We're going to bring a tiny werewolf into this world and somehow keep it alive and teach it how to be a good person and not let it get eaten by rogue wolves or pack politics. When you put it that way, it sounds terrifying. It is terrifying. But also, Lisa placed her hand on her still flat stomach. Also kind of amazing. I'm growing a person who's half you and half me. A person who'll have your eyes and maybe my stubbornness and absolutely no idea how insane their origin story is. Bryant's hand covered hers, both of them touching the place where their child was growing. We need to tell the pack, he said. Soon. Before someone else sense the pregnancy and rumors start. How soon? Today. At the council meeting. It'll be better coming from us directly than through the pack gossip network. Bryant hesitated. Unless you want to wait. Keep it private for a while longer. Lisa thought about it. About keeping this secret, this joy, just between them for a few more weeks. About having time to adjust before the pack descended with opinions and traditions and expectations. Then she thought about standing before the council 6 months ago, beaten and terrified but refusing to submit. Thought about the respect she'd earned through survival and stubbornness and refusing to be anything less than herself. No, we tell them today. Luna doesn't hide. Lisa squared her shoulders. Besides, if I'm going to deal with pregnancy hormones and werewolf politics simultaneously, I might as well start now. Build up my tolerance. Bryant laughed. You're going to be terrifying when those hormones fully kick in. I'm almost sorry for the council. Almost. Okay, not sorry at all. Watching you verbally eviscerate council members who underestimate you is one of my favorite pastimes. Bryant pulled her close again. But seriously, are you okay with this? With everything it means? Lisa considered. 6 months ago, the idea of pregnancy would have sent her into a full panic attack. Would have felt like a trap, a cage, another way for someone to control her. But this was different. This was a choice, made with a partner who valued her opinions, in a world where she had power and agency, with a support system that had proven itself through fire and blood. I'm terrified, she admitted. But also happy. Is that allowed? To be both at once. I think that's called being human. Or being a parent. Possibly both. Bryant pressed his forehead to hers. We'll figure it out. Together. Just like we've figured out everything else. Together, Lisa echoed. They stood wrapped in each other as the sun fully rose, painting the city in shades of gold and promise. The pack council meeting was held in the great hall at the estate, the same place where Lisa had faced her dominance trial 6 months earlier. She walked in beside Bryant, her head high, her hand in his. The council members were already assembled. Clara Winters in her usual central seat, Alexander Green looking frielier than last month but still radiating quiet authority, and a dozen other wolves whose respect Lisa had earned through blood and refusal to break. Alpha Green. Luna. Clara inclined her head in greeting. Shall we begin with the Connecticut territorial proposal? Actually, Bryant said, we have an announcement that should come first. The room went quiet. Every eye focused on them with the intensity only predators could achieve. Lisa is pregnant, Bryant said simply. 8 weeks. Dr. Kim has confirmed the pregnancy is progressing normally, and we expect our child to be born in approximately 7 months. The silence stretched for 3 heartbeats. Then Alexander started laughing, a wheezing, joyful sound that turned into coughing but couldn't quite be contained. Finally, I'm going to be a grandfather. I told you the moment I met her, Bryant. I told you she was exactly what this pack needed. Clara's expression was harder to read, but Lisa thought she saw approval in the council leader's eyes. An heir. That's significant. It changes several of our long-term planning considerations. It changes everything, one of the younger council members said. Thomas, the one who'd questioned Lisa during her initial ceremony. A child born of a human Luna. That's unprecedented in our pack's history. So was accepting a human Luna in the first place, Clara said coolly. And yet here we are, thriving. The Luna has proven herself more than capable. I see no reason to doubt her ability to raise an heir. The child's dominance markers won't be clear for years, another council member argued. We can't assume they'll be suitable as future alpha just because of bloodline. Then we'll evaluate when the time comes. Bryant's voice carried absolute authority. But make no mistake, this child is my heir. Anyone who has a problem with that can challenge me directly. The room went very, very quiet. No one challenged. Then it settled. Clara's smile was sharp. Congratulations to the Alpha and Luna on their upcoming parenthood. Now, shall we discuss Connecticut, or would you prefer to bask in the moment a while longer? Connecticut, Lisa said firmly. We can bask later. Right now we have work to do. The meeting proceeded with typical council efficiency. Arguments, counter-arguments, citations of precedent, and eventually a compromise that satisfied no one but worked for everyone. Lisa participated fully, offering opinions and calling out illogical positions, and if some of the council members looked at her differently now, with a new kind of respect or perhaps wariness, she chose to take it as progress. After the meeting, Alexander pulled them aside. "Walk with me," he said, gesturing to the estate's gardens. They walked slowly, matching his pace. The gardens were in full spring bloom, flowers Lisa couldn't name filling the air with color and fragrance. "I won't live to see the child born," Alexander said without preamble. "Dr. Kim gives me perhaps 4 more months. 5 if I'm lucky. Father, let me finish." Alexander stopped at a bench, sat down with visible relief. "I've made my peace with it. 78 years is a good run for an alpha. Most of us die in challenge fights long before we reach this age." He looked at Lisa. "But I wanted to tell you something before I go. About your child. About what they'll face." Lisa sat beside him, her hand finding Bryant's. "I'm listening. The pack will test them. Constantly. Because they're half-human, because their mother isn't werewolf born, because change frightens people and your child represents massive change." Alexander's voice was gentle. "It won't be fair. It won't be kind. But it will make them strong. Stronger than a child born to 2 werewolf parents, because they'll have to prove themselves every day rather than relying on bloodline alone." That sounds exhausting. It is. But it's also how we got Bryant. How we got you. Pressure creates diamonds, as they say. Alexander smiled. "And I've seen enough to know, your child will be extraordinary. Not despite their heritage, but because of it." "You can't know that," Lisa said. "They're not even born yet. I know it the same way I knew you'd survive the dominance trial. The same way I knew you and Bryant were mates before either of you figured it out." Alexander's eyes, gold like his son's, were knowing. "Fate doesn't make mistakes, Lisa. It might take the scenic route occasionally, but it gets there. And fate chose you for my son. Chose you to carry the next generation of this pack. That means something. Lisa felt tears prick her eyes. I wish you could meet them. So do I. But I'll meet them in whatever comes after this. And in the meantime, I'll do everything I can to make sure the pack accepts them without question. Alexander stood with effort. Now go. Both of you. Enjoy this moment. The work of raising an alpha heir will come soon enough. Bryant helped his father back to the house, and Lisa watched them go. 2 alphas, father and son, bound by blood and power and love. In 7 months there would be 3. The thought was overwhelming and beautiful and absolutely terrifying. That night, Lisa stood in what would become the nursery. Currently just an empty room in the penthouse, but already full of potential. We'll need to child-proof everything, she said, looking around. And figure out how to explain to a toddler why they can't bite their playmates, even though Daddy does it all the time. Bryant laughed from the doorway. We'll manage. Somehow. Will we? I mean, really. We're talking about raising a werewolf in Manhattan. Teaching them pack law and human law and how to shift without destroying their clothes and... Lisa stopped, overwhelmed. I have no idea what I'm doing. Neither do I. But we'll figure it out together. Bryant crossed to her, pulled her into his arms. And we'll have help. The pack, Dr. Kim, my father, for as long as he's here. You're not doing this alone. I know. Lisa paused, trying to find the words. I never thought I'd have this. Family. A real one, where people choose to stay instead of being forced together by blood or fear. And now I'm going to be someone's mother. And I'm terrified I'll mess them up the way my father messed me up. You won't. You can't know that. Yes, I can. Because you're aware of the damage, aware of the patterns, aware of what not to do. Your father never had that awareness. Never cared that he was destroying you. Bryant tilted her face up to meet his eyes. You're going to be an amazing mother, Lisa. Fierce and protective and absolutely unwilling to let anyone, including me, hurt our child. I already feel sorry for their teenage years. Lisa laughed despite herself. Oh God, the teenage years. We're going to have a hormonal werewolf teenager. We're doomed. Completely doomed. But at least we'll be doomed together. They stood in the empty nursery, imagining the life they were building. The child who would fill this room with toys and laughter and probably some property damage. The family they were becoming despite all the odds stacked against them. I love you, Lisa said. I don't think I've actually said that out loud yet. But I do. I love you, Bryant Green. Damaged senses, werewolf politics, questionable decision-making and all. Bryant's smile was pure joy. I love you too. Have since the moment you bit me in that alley and marked me as yours without even knowing what you were doing. He kissed her gently. Best decision fate ever made. Even though it took us 3 months to figure it out? Especially because of that. We got to choose each other twice. Once through the contract, once through the bond. That's rare. Special. Bryant's hand moved to her stomach. And now we get to choose this too. Choose to be parents. Choose to bring new life into this complicated, dangerous, beautiful world we've built. No pressure on the kid, right? None at all. They just have to grow up to be a powerful alpha, lead a pack of supernatural beings, navigate human and werewolf politics, and somehow stay sane through all of it. Bryant grinned. Piece of cake. We're terrible parents already. The worst. But we're terrible together, so that's something. Lisa leaned into him, feeling the mate bond hum between them. Solid now, unbreakable, carrying not just their connection but the new life they'd created. 7 months. In 7 months, everything would change again. But for now, in this moment, it was just them. Just Bryant and Lisa, standing in an empty room full of possibility, ready to face whatever came next. Together. Always together.